What?
Yes, this is.
My bad, Brandon. I totally cut you off. Now let me play this clip.
Yes, this is Christian from Planet Dirty News. We're reporting live. We have eyewitness testimony of a man apparently walking on water near the O'Hare River in South Florida. Now, people have claimed to have seen this before, but when they saw him floating in the air, a lot of people thought that this was too good to be true. Some claimed that it could have been an alien, while others thought it could have been the Lord Jesus Christ himself. But we did manage to get one eyewitness testimony, and this is a man who has claimed to have known who the person in question is that was seen floating in the sky. We got an interview. His name is Jordan Brown Peterson. We're going to go down and talk to him right now. Here's what he had to say about what he saw today.
But he's got some serious fucking issues, man.
What the hell?
He got in trouble for, like, breeding and fighting dogs not too long ago or some shit also. He's some really weird going on with that dude.
Hell yeah. The most rarely played clip.
Oh, man. I love it too. Thank you, Saturn Video. Jojo Bibbidi has spoken. CHH and the Butterman. Let me move my camera a little bit. CHH and the Butterman must go to Dorito Valley with the leader of the apes, Danky Kang, to acquire the mighty Komodo cheese curd.
Cheese curds. Oh, man.
The Great Ape War is at a stalemate until all DVDs are shattered. Man, that's some good shit right there.
That's good stuff. The lore continues, man. The lore continues.
Oh, man. Thank you so much, Saturn Video, man. I always get a kick out of those, man. Oh, Brandon, brother.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, what are we working with here?
This is my new background for January.
Jesus Christ.
I've really gotten down the Five Nights at Freddy's rabbit hole the last 2 weeks. Like, really far down the rabbit hole. The movie came out. I've never really been a student of the games. And then I sort of got sucked into the lore with some kind of YouTube video essay, and I've been kind of going down that rabbit hole ever since.
Are you making are you making a YouTube video essay? Or you put one out?
No, I came across one.
Oh.
And I just went further and further down, and I started playing the games, and it's just I really got sucked into the whole universe of it.
I see that.
So yeah, for January, I'm going to start off the year with this thing. Looks pretty cool. Simple but sweet.
It looks dynamite, dude.
Thank you, thank you.
I see your skeleton survived.
He did. I was teetering between him and the old school one. I haven't decided which one to keep, but we'll see.
Oh, that's a different one.
Yep. It's a different one.
Hold on, Brandon. I just forgot. Boom. There we go.
There we are.
What's the name of the show tonight, Brandon?
Leatherface's Head Cheese Hoedown, ranking the Texas Chainsaw franchise.
I'm excited. Are you excited?
I'm fucking stoked. I've been stoked about it for 2 weeks now.
All right, let's see who we got with us tonight. We got Tape Rot. We got Dino, short for Joskowski. He told me to call him Dino. D Shaw Entertainment. How are you? Everybody drop, please, for God's sakes. Let's drop a like on the show. We got Quentin. We got Ryan OG. We got Muzzak. We got Summertime Blues. We got Holiday Styles. We've got Richard Stange. We got Jeff Shootart. That's the father and son duo, Brandon.
Yes, sir.
I sent you that picture they made earlier.
Oh, I loved it.
What's Brandon's favorite brand of butter is the real question.
Country Crock for sure. It's a classic. It's a classic.
Dude, that is a fucked up looking mask. Jesus Christ.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, yeah. What is that? It's like a Slipknot mask, or?
This is a Leatherface mask. It's the poster for New Generation.
Oh, Next Generation.
Or Next Generation, excuse me, yeah.
Dude, that's creepy. Is it really? Hold on. Stay right there. You're right. That is it. Damn. Let me continue with this, Brandon. Let's see. Justin Smith. We got CR. We got Ann Lives. We got Mr. Dig. I need me a candle. Mr. Dig, you need a candle. So it's making our triumphant return very soon. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I'm printing out artwork for new melts we got coming out. Jonathan Davis, Blu-ray Addict, Witch Hunter. Vanderhoff 66 FU. Okay. Like that. Sam Thomason. Z Pam. It's good to see everybody. I'm gonna scroll
It is.
Basement Blues. It's good to see everybody here. It's good to see the Planet Dirty fans. Dalton, good to see everybody. Horror Business says I finally made it for live. We're glad you made it too. Brandon,
Yes, sir.
can you hold down the chat for a second while I go get myself my my drink? I got my koozie for my beer, but I forgot my
for it.
beer. All
Go
right.
for it. What's going on, everybody? Good evening. Happy Saturday. Glad to be back in full effect on Planet Dirty. It's been way too long. I think the last episode we did for Planet Dirty was December 21st, I believe, for the Christmas show. So it just the time in between the once a month shows goes pretty quick because life just moves so fast. But I swear to God, Planet Dirty feels like it was 2 months ago, not 4 weeks ago. It's just insane. But we're here. We're having a good time. I got my complimentary bowl of Doritos. If you guys haven't tried this kind of Doritos yet, you need to. Check this out. They're called Ultimate Cheddar. I saw them today for the first time in stores. Super stoked. They taste like nacho cheese on crack times 4. That's what they taste like to me. This is fantastic stuff. The Hostess or Little Debbie Christmas cakes went away, but the Valentine's Day cakes came out, which taste practically the same. They're just heart-shaped. So never fear. Hostess cakes are here.
Brandon, I tell you what, dude. I can tell the chat is ready to go.
Yes, sir.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. As soon as we do a toast, we're getting this show on the road. Man, my desk is a mess. I got my bottle of... Oh, here it is. Here it is. All right, let's see, B. What are you sipping on tonight?
I got some Modelo. That's what I chose tonight.
Modelo?
Modelo.
I'm going with my usual. I'm going with my Angry Orchard.
Nice.
Let me pop the son of a bitch open. I got my koozie.
Excellent.
Scary Movies and Chill.
Nice.
Got this at Target for $1.09. It wasn't even $1.09. It was $1.99. Now if I could get the son of a bitch to fit.
Dude, Target had so much good Halloween shit this year. Or last year, I guess I should say.
Do you miss the season?
I do. I didn't at first, but now that we're sort of, in the lull of the year, it's kind of like,
Did
I
it?
sort of
Did
missed
you?
the fall.
Did you kind of overdo it, and then you were ready for it to end, and now that it's kind of out of the rearview mirror for a while, you're like, damn, man, did I savor it enough?
Yeah, it's been pretty much like that. Like I was so ready for the last 3 months of the year to be over with, and now that they're over with, it's a good breathing, a good breathing point, I guess I should say. Take care of a lot of chores and stuff that I haven't gotten done. But yeah, did I enjoy Halloween enough? Did I savor Thanksgiving enough? Was the Christmas season as good as it could have been? The same old stuff. I think it probably was. It's just the hindsight thing. You know what I mean?
It's so fucking crazy how fast time is flying by.
Oh, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I feel like I just met you.
Right? But I'm
looking
back. I'm thinking back last year, that first live stream. Like, oh, wait, that was the year before last year. And it was early that year, too. It wasn't like it's just, yeah. It's been almost 2 years.
Brandon, what did we cheers into tonight?
I guess we're cheering to Leatherface, right? I'm going to cheers to Leatherface and Ultimate Cheddar Doritos. That's what I'm going to cheers to.
All right, brother. Cheers.
All right, there we go.
Tell me about. Wait, let me see them Doritos again. What is that?
I found these in Sam's Club today.
Ultimate Cheddar. Let me solely. I want to look inside the bag. I want to see what they look like. I've never heard of Ultimate Cheddar.
Yeah, I think it says limited time only on them, so get them if you can. I'm not sure if they're a Sam's Club exclusive, but can you kind of see them there?
Have you tried them?
Yeah, they're pretty good. They look like this in the bowl. They look like nacho cheese regular, but they taste like 4 times as intense as far as like the cheesiness goes. They're really good.
Really?
Highly recommend them. Yeah.
What is your go-to? And let me ask the chat. I just see Saturn Video said spicy nachos best. What is your go-to Doritos flavor? Like, what is like your standard bearer?
These days, it would probably be either spicy nacho or Cooler Ranch. I flip-flop back and forth.
See, you're old school. You heard what you said? You said cooler.
That?
You said Cooler Ranch.
Yep, that's right. They're not cooler anymore. Yeah,
dude, that was
bastards.
their standout thing. Spicier nacho, Cooler Ranch. It's funny because there's some people that I work with and I'll call it that, and they'll say, "Huh?" And I was
Yeah.
like, "Cooler Ranch," and they're like,
Yep.
"What?" I'm like, "I forget. You're too young to remember
Yeah.
that."
It's
And
bizarre, dude.
it's weird because these are guys that are like 20, 21,
Mm.
and I'm 31. I'm just like, man, like those formative years for me really were different for
Yep.
them, and they
Yep.
have no idea what I'm talking about.
It's nuts, dude. And
And
they'll
do you
never know.
when I was really little too, what I loved about the Cool Ranch, we're gonna have to get started after this because this is gonna be a long show. But you remember what was so great about the Cool Ranch bags is they were light blue with white on the
Yep.
cover, and they
Yep.
just the bag
And part of it was see-through.
part of it was see through,
Yeah.
dude. And it was cheesier nacho, or was it? What was it? What was
I think it was always nacho cheese. It was spicy
nacho cheesier? Nacho cheesier.
Was it nacho cheesier?
It was nacho cheesier.
Do you remember? You probably don't remember this. This is like when I was 4 or 5. There was a flavor way back in the day called zesty salsa. It was so damn good. And in the late 90s, they brought it back as just salsa. It was a black bag. It wasn't salsa verde in the green bag, but it was called salsa. Dude, best flavor hands down.
I
And
love
swear to
salsa
God,
verde though.
salsa verde is good too, but the flavor that I lament the loss of the most is a flavor called Baja Picante from the 90s. Do you remember that at all? It was a yellow bag.
Yes,
I can't even begin
yes,
to remember the
yes.
flavor, but they were
I never got
so
them though. I never
dude.
got them.
I'm glad they brought back the barbecue. The new barbecue ones taste almost like the purple bagged barbecue chips of the 90s, and they're so damn good. I think like every Doritos flavor is good in its own way. Like there's not really a bad flavor.
Yeah.
Like there's not really one bad flavor.
All right, Brandon. It's time, dude.
I'm ready.
So, guys, this is the rules for the night. Brandon, I'm gonna give you this. I'm gonna give you. No, I'm not gonna put any. I'm not gonna put any parameters on everybody, guys. We're gonna go through the films. Brandon, we're gonna go through what we like about the movie.
Yes.
Really, just anything. Just say what you want to say, and then we'll rate it. You want to use your own rating scale? For me, I'm going to go 1 through 10. Do you want to use your own personalized rating scale, or is
I'll
it
do 1
basically
through-
a 1 through 10?
I'll do 1 through 10 because a 10 is basically for me on my rating scale is a 10 would be a masterpiece and a Crystal Skull would be above that. So
Okay.
1 through 10 is fine with me.
And guys, what's going to be fun is I'm going to take the consensus from you guys on each film we talk about, and we also have special awards for after the end of the show. We have, let me just show you guys the name of the special rewards. So the first award we're going to go through is the Sleeper Sawhead Cheese Hook Surprise for the most underrated Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie award. And Brandon, I don't know what my answers are for these yet, because as we talk about these is how I'm probably going to figure out what I'm going to say.
Yep, I agree.
And then the other award is the Revved Up Razzie Buzzkill Award for the most overrated Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
Love it.
So, Brandon, are you guys ready? Is everybody in the chat ready? Has everybody dropped a like? I need everybody to drop a like so we can get started. Because I mean business tonight. We're talking about what I consider to be the greatest horror film of all time in here.
It is. It is.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to play ball. Let's see. We got 66 likes. We got 100 people in here. That's bullshit.
Come on, guys, turn it up.
That's bullshit. Let's get it going. All right, guys. Frill, drop a like. I'm not gonna. Don't worry. I'm not. Brandon, should I be a dick and wait? Should I be a dick and wait till we get 100 likes?
Let's
get 80 likes. Let's get to 80, and then we'll get going. Let's get to 80, guys.
I agree.
80's fun because we have well enough people in here. Let's get to 80 likes.
So while we wait, Christian, have you bought your Valentine's Day cakes yet? They're basically just the Christmas
hold on. Valentine's Day cakes?
They're basically just, I believe, they're just like the Christmas tree cakes, but heart shaped. I'm assuming they're the same flavor because they don't say strawberry flavored or anything. It's just Christmas tree or Valentine's Day cakes.
Are we gonna get a taste test tonight on that?
We are eventually.
Is that gonna be during the next generation?
Probably. I gotta finish my bowl of nachos and my 3 beers and my yeah. So.
Oh man,
that's where we're at.
Right. Let's see where we're at, Brandon. Let's get to 80 likes. We're at 74. We are now at 81. All right, Brandon, it's time to rock and roll, guys. Right. I'm gonna be chill. I'm not gonna ask for 100 likes yet. Eventually, I will. All right, guys, here we go. The first movie We're going backwards tonight, Brandon.
Oh no.
We're going backwards. The first movie is
Oh no.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 22. The Face of Madness returns. We're going backwards. I just threw a swerve at everybody, Brandon. Everybody is on their feet right now. All right, Brandon. So let me just kind of get this popping. Let's kind of set the stage real quick. Fede Alvarez is announced to make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Knowing you were probably shitting bricks with excitement at the time.
I think at the time, I was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
You didn't know Fede Alvarez?
I don't think so, because this movie was kind of. They announced this movie a while ago, and it was that duo. And when they got fired and Fede Alvarez came on, I think I was already filled with a sense of apathy. And I don't think he had already done Pets. He didn't do Pet Sematary, did he?
I can Google.
What did Fede Alvarez do that I should know before the Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Didn't he do Evil Dead?
Did he do Evil Dead? There's no way he did Evil Dead.
We're
starting off really good.
Yeah,
here,
he did Don't Breathe, Evil Dead 2013. Yeah, he did Evil Dead 2013.
Okay.
That's what the horror fans, I think, really love him for, because that movie exceeded, maybe not you, I don't know how you feel about it, but that movie exceeded everybody's, for the most part, expectation.
It blew everybody's balls off. No, I love Evil Dead 2013. It's one of my favorite in the franchise. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. But at the time when he was announced as the new director of it, after they sort of scrapped what they had before, at the time I didn't really connect the dots with Evil Dead, so I was sort of just filled with, we'll see where it goes. And it just you guys know my thoughts on the trailers that came out. I thought it was really hokey looking. It looked like it was going to be just it looked too modern in the worst way. And I just wasn't on board with the look of Leatherface. I didn't like the small town setting of it just looked like a film set. It didn't look like a believable Texas town. Obviously, they were filming in the mountains of Bulgaria, so you could already see sort of that.
But hold on, but don't you kind of see a little bit of charm in this Bulgaria setting, though? It was almost like the Wild West, right? Because it was literally a strip, and it literally felt like it felt like the old K Corral almost. Like this was the town, this street. And I'm not. There's something about that, because they were going to make a Halloween film shot in Bulgaria. Eventually, something sound.
Oh, I think you're. Am I pausing or are you pausing? I didn't hear what you just said. Uh-oh. Am I frozen or is Christian frozen? Chat, let us know. Christian froze. Oh, he froze. Oh no. We're starting off there we go.
We're back.
I didn't hear the last 30 seconds. You were saying that the Halloween film was going to be filmed there.
They were going to do a Halloween film there, and to me that just sounded so cool. And then the homeboy axed it, but I loved the idea of doing that. Something about this Bulgaria setting I can't help but like.
You know what it is? It's the mountains look very strange because it doesn't look like the U.S. and like the weird sunflower fields, but they're not sunflowers. Whatever those weird flowers were in that scene in the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, it is very unique. I will give it that. And with that said, remember I didn't like the film at all when I first saw it. I didn't like it. I watched it a second time. I kind of liked it. Go ahead.
Let me ask you something. Well, because instead of you going and then me going, as you talk, I want to kind of break down some of the stuff you say to make it more of a natural conversation. That way, it's not just me waiting for you to finish and then just saying what I like. Okay, and I think the audience probably agrees, because that's boring, right?
I agree.
Don't you feel that this movie, and of course the director has never come out and straight up said this, and I want to know if the chat agrees with me. I think this movie was making fun of Halloween. Because Sally showing up was this legacy character thing, and then she gets her ass whipped. It wasn't even close. I feel that it was poking fun at the Laurie Strode coming back thing. I see it as a pure shot.
It was.
That's the way I see it. Some people probably don't, But to me, it was belligerently obvious that they were poking fun at Halloween, and I loved that about the
Yes.
movie.
Yeah, the trailers made it seem like it was sort of ripping off that storyline thing, but when you watched the movie and after the dust settles and I can get over my hatred of the film and watch it again, you really see that, yeah, they're totally making fun of Halloween 2018. And like the sort of the plot threads we thought they were kind of pushing in the trailers and the teaser trailers, they were making fun of those people in the movie, as far as that kind of stuff goes. So I really have personally changed my stance on it. I don't think it's great, but I 6.5 for me.
Here's okay, fair enough. Here's the other thing I want to ask the chat. I don't like to get political on my show, but in this case, it's not really getting political. It's really just the question. Some people claim that this movie, there's an original cut of, like I said, David Blue Garcia is the director, but Fede Alvarez created the idea for this movie, right? There is a rumor that there's an original cut of this movie that is much more because there's definitely a theme of the movie of this girl who went through a shooting at her school, and that plays out. And then by the end of the movie, to me, there's like almost this lesson of people kill people, guns don't kill people, that sort of thing. But there is a rumor that maybe this movie had this more of an original cut that's a lot more, I guess, left-leaning or more anti-gun, and then it went through a bunch of editing and haphazardly turned into this anti-Gen Z movie. What do you think kind of lies? Do you think it's probably best that the director doesn't come out and talk about this? I mean, there's a lot of mystery. What I'm getting at is there's so much mystery about this movie. What was the intent? And that's the thing. We don't really know. And there's so many interpretations, right? This is a anti-woke movie. This is this kind of movie. But to me, it's almost this. I don't know. I take it for what I see. I feel like it's two sides meeting together, because you've got the one guy that's very pro-gun. You've got this anti-gun side. Boom. And then you've got Leatherface, in my opinion, just completely making. There's something else I want to comment on, but I feel like they definitely were making fun of 18. To me, there's no doubt in my mind, because I think somebody even said it in the chat. They throw Sally in the trash. She gets tossed into trash.
Yep.
Which I love that. It's not even because, God rest her soul, the actress from the original, she passed away a number of years ago, right?
I think 2017.
Yeah, so she couldn't have been in it, obviously, but yeah, I love this movie. What did you give it? A 6 out of 10?
6.5.
I'd have to actually agree with you. I think it's wildly entertaining. I really do. I think it's very fun to watch. And I think the look of Leatherface, here's the thing. People know the kind of Leatherface that I like. I've made no bones about it. But Brandon, I use this movie as an exception, and I'm going to tell you why. I think I've told you this. You may not agree with my stance on this, but I want to say it anyway. Leatherface to me should not be a slasher villain. That's not the way I look at the character, especially not that one. Right? I don't see him as that. He's a reactor. He's not he's not an antagonist. He's a reactive kind of character. This is an exception to me because it's based off of pure revenge of the loss of his caretaker. And that just makes sense to me for that kind of character. So I've always forgiven Leatherface being this super aggressive brute in this movie. So I don't know. I think the look, I actually kind of like the face too, because wasn't it his, I don't think that was his mom. That was more of, because again, it's very vague. And there's actually a shot. Some people didn't know this because they didn't let the credits play through. There's a shot of him walking to the 74 house.
Yeah.
What the fuck was that all about? What are they trying to say there?
Yep. Sequel bait, right? I mean, they're going to.
Well, I wish they would do another one, right?
This movie did well on Netflix. So
I heard it got like 1.8 million views in a month.
Yeah, it did good. I thought they were going to greenlight a new one right away. I wasn't super thrilled with it at the time, but I'm surprised they didn't greenlight it just from the reaction.
So you ended up enjoying the film. How many times did you watch it? 2 or 3?
I've seen it 3 or 4 times now total. I think 3 times, including the
And-
first time I watched it. And every time I watch it, I keep wanting to go back to it, and I keep enjoying it more, which I hate
Right.
to admit, because usually when I hate something, it does not grow on me.
Right.
But that movie just grew on me. It's bizarre.
So I'm actually going to agree with you. Chat, do me a favor. I'm looking at what you people are saying. Put down I want to see what the median is. Put down your out of 10 scale rating for this movie. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to pull up some of your comments. Fede Alvarez co-wrote the story. Holiday Style says it's a terrible movie. Dylan Smithy says Scream Factory's put out an 8K release with the director's cut.
Agreed.
This movie, this is another thing, Brandon. This movie is less than 80 minutes without the credits.
Mhm.
That's a plus. Yeah, in a world of 3.5-hour goddamn movies, I agree with that. 5.4 out of 10. Rock Music agrees it was making fun of Halloween. It's better than that trash TCM 3D. That's for sure,
Nope.
says Dylan.
Uh-uh.
Hold on, Brandon. Don't spoil your thoughts. Don't spoil
Nope.
your thoughts. I don't see the 74 TCM as a slasher. We'll get there. We'll get there. Let's see. I didn't see the that makes sense. Justin seems like a very no patience kind of guy. I believe that. I like when this is another thing. I like when Sally confronts Leatherface and he looks at her. "Who are you? Nice touch." Don't you feel that's it's another thing that they were poking fun of? Because I feel like the whole thing was Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode's like, he's coming after me. And the irony was he never was in those movies, which is silly.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's just like, of course I don't know who you are. Why would I remember you?
50 years is a long time.
All right, Brandon, we got a 7, 8. Do all the math in your head for this. 7, 8. If you do out of 5, guys, I ain't got time to do the ratio in my head. 7, 8. We got a 6, 4, 5.5, 6, 5, 7, 7, 7, 5, 4, 6, 6. Shanna gives it a 6. Look at that, Brandon.
Yep.
5, 6. Another 6. Brandon, it looks like we're probably close. I'd give it a even 6, median.
Yep. That seems to be the right number.
So when's the last time you watched it?
I watched it. I want to say back in September was probably the last time I watched it. And I just put it on one night. I had an urge to watch it. It was weird. I came across it on Netflix. I'm like, I'm going to watch this fucking movie again. So I did. And I enjoyed it more than I did the last 2 times.
I have a I don't see it on hand, but I have a bootleg of it that it looks really convincing because I got a guy, shout out my buddy Kyle, and people ask just for the sake of letting everybody know, people ask me all the time, hey, where can I get that? He has a friend that makes them, but he doesn't sell them. The guy that makes them gives it to Kyle, and Kyle sends it to me. He's not into selling it because he doesn't feel like it's right to sell it. So it's a pass along thing. But if Kyle ever will give me the okay that guy is willing to at least just charge maybe just the cost of the stuff to make it, then I'll let you guys know because the stuff I get looks really good.
Nice.
So anyway, Brandon, we're moving on.
Yes.
Next up, not Texas Chainsaw, Leatherface, 2017.
Yep.
Brandon, I don't know about this one. There are things that I think are hysterical. There are things that I think are gross. There's a scene in the trailer or whatever it was where there's a dead body like leaning over a toilet or something, and this couple gets on top of it. It's so grotesque.
Oh, it's absolutely.
What were they thinking?
I really enjoyed this movie. You know what I mean? I don't know why. I really liked 3D, and since this is sort of a prequel to that, I was already on board with it. And I thought that What's Her Face did a really good job as the mom. What is her name? The actress who plays.
She was in The Conjuring, right?
Yeah, The Conjuring. No, not The Conjuring. Yeah, The Conjuring. She was in The Conjuring, The Haunting, excuse me. She was in High Fidelity. What was her name? She's in a bunch of 80s movies too.
Lily Taylor.
Yeah, she did a good job. I thought all the kids did a pretty good job. I thought the set pieces were really good, really polished. I thought the action and the gore was really good. I think what really threw off this movie, and interject when you need to, because I'm going to ramble about it
Real
probably.
quick, Brandon, we got the legend in here. Tell It Animated's back.
There he is. Hell
Legend.
Yeah.
2 million subscribers, Brandon.
That's right.
Keep going, Brandon. Keep going.
No, I think besides that one plot twist, the supposed plot twist that didn't really play out, it was sort of like a red herring. I thought that was unneeded and stupid. That's what I think that's what threw everybody off about the movie. If that wasn't in there, I think people would like it better.
I feel like people the thing I heard people say was the casting was backwards.
I guess it was technically. If you were assuming the big guy
Visually, yeah.
The big lumpy guy was Leatherface, that's what I thought.
Hell, wouldn't you think that, Brandon?
Yeah, and that's what it probably should have been. The kid who gets shot at the end and kind of turns into Leatherface, that probably should have been the hitchhiker character. Or something like that. You know what I mean? Because Leatherface is mute anyway. You would want to follow a character that does speak. So if you could technically say that was the hitchhiker character before he goes to Nam, before he gets all messed up. That's why he has the scar maybe in the first film. I don't know. That would have been the better formula than to just say, oh, this is actually Leatherface. He's only Leatherface because of trauma. Like that doesn't really make sense to me.
Let me ask you this, Brandon. Let's put on our critical thinking caps for a second. What did this movie do wrong? Why do you think people don't like it? Because to me, I can sum it up very simply. A lot of people probably don't like this answer, Brandon. But I can't, this is the only way I can surmise it. It doesn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie.
It doesn't. And
I thought for a second it might have been because of Bulgaria. But to me, the 2022 one definitely feels like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. But to me, this one doesn't. And I don't know if you would have called it something else that would make it. To me, I look at Texas Chainsaw like AC/DC, man. It doesn't matter if you listen to Flick of the Switch, Fly in the Wall. Doesn't matter if you listen to Ball Breaker. Doesn't matter if you listen to Dirty Deeds Done Cheap. It sounds like an AC/DC record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm wondering if maybe because of Bulgaria, maybe because of the cast and the crew were all, European or whatever the European influence was. Maybe it's also because the movie is set in the 50s. So there's sort of a 1950s polish to it as far as the way people dress. Is it 50s or 60s? Either way, there's sort of a weird, we're not in the hippie rock and roll era of the first movie. We're way, way, way before it. So maybe that's, I don't know. Maybe I'm spitballing here, but maybe that's why. The dress code, the diner, the cars, everything about it just screams 50s and 60s.
Yeah, I don't want, and here's the thing. I really don't want to say that it's because there's not a Leatherface character in the movie, because clearly there is. There's just an ingredient that's not there. Maybe it's the way the movie sounds. I wanted to say looks, but and maybe I can still say that. For a second, I wanted to say, well, you can't blame Bulgaria, but maybe you still can. I don't know, right? Because
maybe.
They're granted, it's a backrooms version of Bulgaria, right? In 2022, this weird hyperbolic, what I consider like this Wild West, this one street thing, right? But there's still that X factor is there for me, and that's subjective. I totally get that. I'm willing to accept that that's a subjective criticism.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things, Brandon, where I had a lot of vitriol for it, but the more that time goes by, I don't have that vitriol anymore because it's stupid to hold on to that. But with that being said, Brandon, it's really hard to rate this movie because I have to take my subjective feelings and do I factor that into a movie that I think objectively is fairly sound, right? Like it's not like the movie is unwatchable. It's not like the movie is bad in that sense. It's like, I don't know. It's Nestea when I wanted brisk,
Right. Yeah.
That's the only way I can explain it. So how do you rate it? I mean, if you were me, what would you rate it? Like, I don't know how to feel. I really don't know what to rate this movie anymore. I really don't. Because I don't think it's totally fair to say to judge it off of that. It's hard. I just don't know. It's just really hard. I don't know. What do you rate this movie? And for the chat, go ahead and rate this movie while Brandon's giving his.
It's the same as 2022. It's a 6.5 for me, which is technically called worthy of a watch or worth the watch on my rating scale. So I think it's at least worth seeing one time. I've seen it multiple times, but I wouldn't give it a 7. I wouldn't give it a 6. I think 6.5 is a good place for it to live. I think I probably like it better than the 2022 film, but I can see obviously why most people prefer the 2022 film because Leatherface is in
you
that
like
movie.
this movie from day one. You're saying the first time you watched it, you're like, this is a good movie.
Yep, day one. Me and Shanna watched it on when it
I don't
premiered.
believe Shanna really. Does Shanna really like it?
We watched. Well, I don't know if she liked it, but she watched it with me the day it came out on streaming. What was it on? It was on
like Showtime or something.
We had to get because we didn't have the service. I had to like get the service or something for like a night or two or
probably
whatever the hell it was.
Stars or some crap.
It was something weird. But yeah, the night it came out, we watched it.
Brandon, it's not looking good. We got a 1, 7, 2, 3, 6, 4, 5, 4, 6. Jess, how are you doing, brother? Good to see you, Jess. Never watch it again. I'll give that a 1. 4, 3, 4. DirecTV.
DirecTV, that's what it was.
6. Brad, I feel like the median's probably somewhere between like the 4.85.
Yeah, it's definitely the most.
That's probably what I'd give as a 5.
It's probably the most hated movie of the franchise, I would say, just because it's so far off from what people want out of a chainsaw movie.
Yeah.
And let's admit, his mask at the end when he finally becomes Leatherface or proto Leatherface, it is kind of wonky looking. But other than that, and the weird plot twist, the failed plot twist, I love the movie. I think it's sound. It looks good. It sounds good. It's well shot, good special effects, good acting, good pacing, good overall plot. And I believed the characters. The acting was really good. I thought Lily was really good, and the guy, what's his name, Steven Dorff, I think. I thought he was really good in the movie. So, but I can see why most people do not enjoy that film at all. So,
Amric says Bruce Campbell made an entertainingly bad movie in Bulgaria, but it sounds like everyone just finds this one irredeemable.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, we'll give it the median of 5. I think we're going to go with 5. So, for 22, it looks like the median was right at 6. 17, the median was right at about 5. So, next up, Brandon, we have Texas Chainsaw 3D, brother.
All right.
Let me tell you something, dude. I saw this in the theaters, and I got to tell you, I was really excited for this. And I remember my uncle telling me, like, Christian, did you see he called me Bubba. So he's like, Bubba, did you see the trailer for the new Texas movie? And it was like, start the new year with a familiar face. And this was 2013. And it came out, dude, it came out like right around this time, actually.
Yeah, it was January.
God, it's 11 years.
11 years, dude.
Brandon, I was 20 when this movie came out. Fuck.
Yeah. I know it, man. I was 24.
And I got in the theater. It was 3D. I just loved it. I had a great time.
Oh, it was a blast.
You know what it felt like, Brandon? You want to know what this movie really felt like to me? It felt like we went to Blockbuster. We picked up the new Texas Chainsaw movie that went straight to video. And we watched it in the theater. And I feel like that lost art may not be the terminology, right? Because in essence, straight to video movies gives the connotation of less prestige, a little bit more humble. But you got to admit, seeing movies like this in the theater, that's an automatic 3 stars. That's an automatic 5 out of 10 right then and there. When you get to see a movie like this in the theater with that sleazy factor, with that you got good looking broads. They're 3D. Remember that shot? They try to recreate that shot where you see was that Marilyn Burns? Was that her or the other one in the movie where they get that booty shot where she's walking up to the house?
That was Pam walking up to the house.
Pam walking. Well, it wasn't Daddario. It was the other one. I forget her name. She used to be on Malcolm in the Middle. She had that
Malcolm
big
in the
booty.
Middle.
Remember that show? She had that big booty. She had, oh, dude, they got that great shot of her. Good looking woman. Both of them. God, I loved it, dude. It was so fun. In the
It was a
theater.
blast. It was a blast.
It was so, but here's the thing. All right, so let me get this out the way. Does it make it okay? Here's the question. So obviously, everybody knows, anybody that's on the internet has already heard Adam Marcus, who was one of the writers. I think they had a number of people involved with this movie.
Yeah.
Everybody has by this point heard that Adam has, like, of course I didn't write a movie that was set in the 90s that had iPhones. Like, of course he didn't. But the studio was just like, just do it anyway. Nobody's going to know. Nobody's going to care. That was their mindset, right? Here's the question. And it's kind of a rhetorical question, but it's also kind of not. Right? Does that make it excusable? That's the question, right? Does it make it excusable? That's the question. And I don't know the answer. I know what it is for me, but I don't know what the general answer is going to be. That's going to be the interesting thing.
Here's the thing. Besides that plot error caused by producers, because you can tell that they wanted to do it correctly because they were showing the graves, and you can tell that they kind of blurred out the dates on the graves and stuff in post-production. So they were probably
that. Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like they added the cell phone stuff in reshoots. That's what I think happened. I think the movie was probably going to take place in the 90s. You know what I mean? I think with the reshoots and all that stuff happened, I think that's when all the crazy plot stupid stuff happened regarding setting it 20 years past when it was supposed to be. If they had just set it in the 90s, filled it with grunge music, taken out the cell phones, I think the movie would be solid. It would be tight as a rock, or solid as a rock.
Tight as a rock.
I don't know, man. There's a certain charm to 3D that I think a lot of the Chainsaw movies don't have. I commend them for they were really trying to build a lot of rich lore around the original film. I'm glad that they carried over the Sawyer name from the second film and sort of made that sort of canon, but not really.
Was there an argument that 2 could be canon?
Yeah. I thought Dan Yeager did a really, really good job playing a legacy version of Leatherface, as did the guy in 2022, but I prefer Yeager over the guy in 2022.
Yeager was great. The build was right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He had the right mannerisms. The masks themselves in the movie were questionable.
They look like wood.
Yeah, they looked wooden and kind of just too stiff, but I don't know, man. The house was a cool setting. I liked the carnival stuff. I really liked the rich lore with the what is his name? Bert. What is the mayor's name? Bert Hartman, the Hartman clan, I think.
Yeah.
The bad guys, that they were they made it seem like in the lore, the Hartmans were sort of always at odds with the Sawyers. That's why I liked in Leatherface, the 2017 prequel to 3D, they expanded upon that lore and why the Hartmans hated the Sawyers. Like, there was a lot of rich lore there. It wasn't needed, but I think at the time that was
but it was a building block.
The 8th entry. It was a really cool step, I think. And I think not only does Adam Marcus get all the brunt of the hate for it, I think if they were to re-release a new cut of the film, fix the date issue, take out some of the modern music and remove the cell phone scenes, you'd have a really, really, really good slasher movie and people would appreciate it more. Just fix those 3 things and they wouldn't really affect the plot. You know what I mean? Instead of having the cop walk through with a cell phone, just have him on a flashlight and he's on the walkie-talkie with the mayor. That wouldn't change anything about the story, but it would fix it.
Let me get this real quick. Thank you for the $1.99 from Pete Cass. Thank you, brother. Let me get a little something.
With all these nicknames, everyone that I accumulate like 3 pounds of fat.
Brandon, you never mentioned the one thing that I think is really cool about this movie.
The opening?
The opening scene, man. Seeing Gunner come back, albeit playing a different family member. And was Mosley playing the cook?
He was. Even his quote was, "I'm channeling my friend Jim." I'm like, that's a great way to put it. because he wasn't really copying Jim Sedow's mannerisms, but he was sort of channeling the performance. I loved it. Great fucking opening sequence. That should have been the whole fucking movie. From that scene on, it should never have flashed forward. It should have been a totally. I'll ramble about this, and I've said this before, and I'll try to get off it quickly. But like that should have been the whole movie. The house burns down. The family goes on the run. It's sort of like a Devil's Rejects road movie, and at the end of the film, they come across the amusement park from part 2, and that leads right into part 2. That would have been my supreme version of Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you know,
It's not obviously the best, but I just think it's really fun. There's so much wrong with it. I get that, but it's so entertaining to me. And where it does get really silly, it also gets very sexy. So that's that. You know what I'm saying? You remember when she's tied up in the she's tied up at the old what was that? The old warehouse,
the old
and
mill,
the
and
mill.
Clint Eastwood's son's there for some reason, and
And
yeah,
she's saying, "Do you think?" But man, she could say whatever she wants, as far as I'm concerned.
Do
She
you
was
think-
smoking hot.
that's the biggest problem right there. What you
But
just said.
CGI is insane.
The
at the
CGI
end.
is insane, but do your thing, because I think turned off 90% of the fan base.
Was it the delivery, or was it the fact that it was just said in general?
Now I love it, but I think it was definitely the delivery and the fact that it was said. The same thing when the stupid bitch says, welcome to Texas, motherfucker. It's like Leatherface lives in Texas. Why are you saying welcome to Texas? You're not from Texas.
Yeah, but she's so hot. To me, I'm just like, she could say whatever she wants. Maybe I'm just a horn dog, dude. But those two broads were smoking. They were smoking hot, dude. How about Trey Songz up in the mix, dude?
Why is he in that movie?
I thought he was fine.
Why is he in that movie?
Because why was LL Cool J in Halloween? Why was Busta Rhymes in Resurrection? Like, that's what they do. You throw a hip hop guy or a R&B guy in these movies.
I feel like they were.
I thought Trey Songz was
Trey Songz was never really popular, was he?
I don't know. I mean, I know who he is, so that should tell you he's at least popular enough.
I feel like they were
You know
trying
what
to
I
make him a thing, and he never became a thing. And that movie may be why he never became a thing. I don't know.
Brandon, what are your thoughts on that homey little grocery store that they worked at, though? Like, it wasn't no big Walmart. That was like a homey little local grocery store.
You're never gonna convince me otherwise. That was straight up a Winn-Dixie. They filmed in for that scene. That was a Winn-Dixie. I know a Winn-Dixie from the 90s that's never been refurbished when I see one, and that was a straight up Winn-Dixie.
Bryden says he was a big deal at the time. I mean, like I said, Brandon, the fact that I know who he is and I'm not really into rap.
That's true. You were 20 at the time. I was 24, so I wasn't really paying attention to the zeitgeist at the time. So I guess maybe
neither was I, but like I just feel like at least he was big enough to where people around me made me aware of him. So I thought he was fine, relatively. You know.
Yeah.
What about the cat that was stealing all their shit? Like, that's the only thing about that movie that's just like, you're really gonna pick up this dude and just take him with you. I thought the first time watching it, I remember saying to myself, "Oh, not Diadario, but the other one. She's gonna bang that guy." That's what I was thinking.
That guy, he was a good actor, right? The character was not well written.
What did he say? I'm your regular Boy Scout. As soon as they left,
you can't convince me that dude was not ripping off Brad Pitt's performance from Thelma and Louise. That was the same fucking performance, the same thing.
He had a big like burlap sack. He was just dumping shit into the bag.
He was stealing plates. It's like, what is this? This is like 1955, dude.
Like, but hey, in the theater, you remember when he goes down? This is the one thing I did like about 3D a lot. There's like this lair down there
for some reason,
and like he finally opens that door, and it's very much like Barbarian almost, right? Like, it's like, what does this shit lead to? In the theater, I'll never remember, Brandon, they opened that up, and it was either him or it was the nerdy guy that was cooking the steaks, but one of them opens it up. He starts leaning in like this, right into that hall. Out of nowhere, boom. I was like this in the theater, man.
Oh, the whole audience jumped. It was a packed house when I saw it, and everybody jumped at that scene.
Dude, I see that a good theater experience will always kind of give a movie the edge for me, rating wise. I
Yeah.
just think that this movie is wildly entertaining. And here's my favorite line: silly dialogue that makes me laugh is another thing. I'll tell you one of my favorite things of all time, Brandon. It's in Child's Play 3 when he goes, "The hardest thing about running a business is that it is a business." Like you're the leader of all this. This is your grand words.
Yeah.
And then he goes, guys, look, the bottom line is the bottom. Like,
Right.
this is what you're telling us in this
Right.
huge meeting? And in this one, it's when the mayor sees Alexandria getting charcoal, and you've got Mr. Cool, who's got his hands on his hips, won't even look at Alexandria in the movie, and he's just like,
Wait.
you don't want those. Like the kid, the son, she's getting charcoal biscuits, right? And the son shows up and he's like, you don't want these. Like, look at her. Like, he's not even wanting to look at her. And he's trying to be cool, right? You get those, you get some hellfire. I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, God. But it's the dad. When the dad pulls up and he says, bitch, go read some meters. He kicks the son out. He goes, go read some meters, bitch.
Yep.
And then he goes, are you the ones that got that Sawyer house? It was called it was the Sawyer house, right? Not the Hewitt
Sawyer.
house. It was the Sawyer house.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'll tell you what, this is my favorite line in the entire movie. Think about this, Brandon. You just inherited a mansion. You pull into town, you're checking out. The mayor comes up to you, goes, I'll tell you what, I'll take the whole place off your hands for free.
Yeah.
Like that's his proposal. I don't know why that cracks me up so much. Because, like he really thought he was giving her something.
Everybody just heard Christian say charcoal, right? I can't be the only person that heard that.
Charcoal.
Somebody transcript
Charcoal
that.
Biscuits.
I always get shit for DVD. This guy said charcoal.
You say DVD.
It's on the record right there. Listen, I'm gonna say this real quick. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like what is it?
Texas Chainsaw 3D.
I think 3D is a better legacy sequel than the 2022 film. I've said that before. I don't know if you agree, but I think 3D is way more fun and it makes more sense from a logic standpoint. It makes no sense with the dates on the tombstones and like everything being moved up, but I swear to God, it just makes more sense to me than 2022 and way more fun. So,
so the real estate guy is underrated.
Oh, he is. That guy's in Hatchet. That guy's in everything, dude.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like I enjoy watching 3D so much. I really do. I think it's so much fun to watch. I think I got to give this one another 6.5 out of 10.
Yep, same. No, I'm gonna no. I lied. This is a 7 out of 10 for me. That's what I rated it when I reviewed it last year. This is a 7 out of 10.
Really?
That is.
I'm gonna keep a 6 out of 10 for me, guys. Start dropping your. I'm gonna get the median score. But I, even though I like this more, like even though this is the same as 22, I know for a fact I like this more. So maybe a 6.8 or a 7. Maybe I don't want to copy it, but maybe a little higher, a 6.8 out of 10 or something. Yeah. But I just think this one it's too sweet to be sour. Like that's just the way I feel about it.
Do you think it's weird that it hasn't grown on people more than it has over the last 11 years? Because I feel like it's still so hated of a film.
I don't know what it is, man. And I'm not talking about the chat here because I have a very we have a very intelligent audience, a very well-versed audience. But I do feel like there is a lot of times the people that are vocal about this stuff, they're more mean about it. Not necessarily because I see people here say this just isn't for me, not my thing. But the people I feel like that are mean about it watch it once and then still will say the same thing 8 years later. Yeah. I see it. I hear about it all the time. I hear people say that this movie sucks. And I was like, well, when did you see it? Oh, I haven't seen it. That's just what everybody says.
Yeah. That's the worst answer.
Like, what are you talking about? All right, let's see what we got, Brandon. Let's see what we got. 6, 7, 8, 7, 5, 5, 5.
Good.
3, 2, 3, 4. It's not looking good, Brandon. We're dropping 5, 7, 7, 7, 8, 6, 6, 6, 2, 8. Again, Brian, I think we're probably sitting somewhere right around a 6 again for the median.
That's fine. That's fair. That's fair.
6, 7, 6.5. Let's go 6.5. 6.5.
Good.
So So far we had let's see. So far, guys, we had 2022 sitting at about a 6 out of 10. Then we had Leatherface kind of bopped down a little bit to a 5 out of 10. And now we just had 3D creep back up around a 6 out of 10 again. Next up, Brandon. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can I start this
Oh,
one out with a
man.
bang? Can I
Start
start
it
this one
out.
out with a bang?
Start it out.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is not only a great Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, it's better than 2003. It's a better representation of the franchise. It's a better representation of the original. It's a much more uniform movie to me. It's less Hollywood. It's a much better presentation of the family of Leatherface. The dread in this one is palpable. I just think this is a much better movie than 2003. In every conceivable way.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie. I think this one is incredible, and it's easily top 3 of the franchise to me. I think this is an anomaly movie.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite kinds of prequels because it does not take you back the way Leatherface 2017 did. This is a previous chapter prequel, not chapter 1, which I think should be done more in movies going forward. So often we get these chapter 1 prequels. This was a chapter 5 prequel instead of a chapter 1 prequel. It shows you glimpses of the past, but the producers during this time, people can shit on Platinum Dunes all they want. They were smart enough to know, Brandon, if you call this movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre, what do you need to have in this movie? And they put it in there. No doubt in my mind. I think this movie is close to great as you can get. I am a massive fan of The Beginning. And that's all. That's what I've got to say about it.
Same boat. We saw this on opening night, 2006, my buddy Tom and I. It was another packed theater, those experiences that just don't happen anymore with horror movies. It rocked the house. Badass fucking movie. Great production design. Like the 2003 film, the cinematography was fantastic. The original score by Tyler Bates. Go ahead.
Don't you think the original movie had, like, when you think of it, you think of burnt orange?
You think of burnt orange, and you think of like really, really deep contrast, and a lot of like almost sepia tone. But
how about the final shot, that aerial of him walking? There's
into the darkness, and there's that big split of blackness that he walks into. It's so
how
good.
iconic is that?
It's such a symbolic scene.
Brandon, I'm reading the chat right now, Brandon. People have spoken.
Dude, people love it.
They're wising up. They're saying, "Oh, this is this." I'm telling you, I thought I was nuts.
No,
because I saw 06 in the theater. I didn't see 03 in the theater. I saw 06 in the theater. My mom was freaking out in the theater. We were terrified. I remember my mom, who had saw the original. She saw 1 and 2. I remember her walking out of the theater and saying, that was the best one I've ever seen. Holy crap. My mom's not really even big to horror movies, but she saw that, and that carried with me. And I remember I used to say the same thing, and I was like screaming into a cave. But I feel this movie constantly. Oh, you know what, man? I saw The Beginning again. You know what? God damn, that was good.
Oh, it's so good.
God damn, that was good. Because they gave you all the great characters you want. Leatherface is... dude, it's the perfect shade of gray for Leatherface. Close to the perfect shade of gray for Leatherface.
Bernowski he was a terror as Leatherface, dude. I know you're not a huge fan of Brute Leatherface, but I love Bernowski's Leatherface.
This one was, the shade of gray in this one was much more to my liking. It was close. It wasn't perfect, but it was close.
Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah. There's not one thing with this movie that I don't like. I love everything about this movie. The only thing I wish is that it was a little bit longer. I think it's a little bit too short. I wish it was like 20 minutes longer than it is. And I don't think it's that short of a film, but it feels short. It feels like it goes by like that because it's so damn fast paced.
It's because it's tight.
And Arlie Ermy, I think saying Arlie Ermy should have won an Oscars too far. Maybe it's too pretentious, but like he does such a good job of being such a fucking disease
Don't you love
humans.
some of his lines in this one
Oh,
too?
his every line is iconic, especially that speech where he's talking about I asked for food and he gave me meat. We're never gonna go hungry again. That whole speech when they're talking about cannibalism and eating the cop
It's
is
terrifying.
fucking. That was like I got chills watching that theater. I get chills thinking about it right now.
But see, there's this tiny, 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 minute sense of comedy to that. But it's so little the way the original has, right? Because Toby will
Mhm.
tell everybody, you watch thousands of movies. He's like, oh, it's just a comedy. It's not scary. It's a comedy. But the music makes it like you're in hell, the
Yeah.
original. I feel like this one finally did that right again. There's this tinge of humor to the hilariosity of that, how over the top it is, but it's done legitimately.
Mhm.
And like he's sitting at that table, he's like, I asked the Lord for food and he provided us. Like it's like, dude, he means it. It's incredible. That's my favorite Arlie Ermy it's probably Full Metal Jacket, but horror wise, as much as I love him in The Frighteners, he had a fun little ghost cameo in that 2000. Dude, this is it. I think I think he used the experience from 03 to perfect himself in 06. I really, dude, I fucking love 06.
It's
I
such
think if
a
this movie would have, I'm sorry, because this movie I won't shut up about. I think if this movie would have just come out in 03 as the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, same reception. People would say this is the fucking amazing, and you kind of could have done that.
Mm.
You kind of could have pulled that off.
I think it's a fucking masterpiece, but there's a lot of the horror and gore in this movie, I think, are really comparable to the because Saw had come out by that point, Hostel had come out by this point, and I feel like there's a lot of painful stuff in this movie that is more extreme than Saw and Hostel. Like where Arlie Ermey's torturing and beating them when they're hanging up in the rack in the shed is brutal. When the kid gets his leg stuck in the bear trap, it's brutal. When Rosie from Point Break gets sawed in half on the floor, it's fucking brutal. Like that movie is so underrated as far as brutality goes. It blows my mind.
It is, and you're right. It definitely saw the pressure, not necessarily the pressure, but it definitely was like, hey, Texas Chainsaw. The irony of it being not that scary, not that gory in the original. It's like I'm not one of those people. You need to hold that. You need to hold that for later sequels. Like I'm so glad that John was like, oh, so everybody's putting gore in their movies. Fuck it, let's put it in Halloween too. I love that. I don't think that's the original film. You don't have to do the same thing over and over again.
Exactly. Nor should you.
So I'm down with Texas Chainsaw Massacre putting in the gore. And we never talked
Absolutely.
about this in 3D, but there's a scene where Leatherface rights through a guy.
Yep.
Does that happen in this movie, or was it a
It happens in this movie.
It was the older brother, right?
The biker is on the floor and he revs up the chainsaw and cuts through him from the floor up.
And
Remember
they cut off the uncle in the wheelchair's leg.
His legs get cut off too in the same scene, which is insane. That whole scene was insane. And like Arlie Ermey in the Platinum Dunes films, Arlie Ermey's character of Hoyt, it really is the antagonist. It's not Leatherface. It's Arlie Ermey.
See, again, you're to me, this is just how it should be.
Yeah.
This is just how it should be. Dude, this movie's fucking
so
great.
good.
We got a super chat. Let me see what we got here. Thank you so much, Chris Snyder, channel member as well. What's brilliant about the Arlie Ermey stuff with the brothers is that he knows they're lying the whole time and he's testing them when he will fess up. Absolutely. Because he could tell that it's really the younger brother that was burning his card.
Yeah.
And it's funny, Brennan, like I think the first time I watched that movie, I remember as a kid who's just ignorant and it just like as a kid who doesn't understand the consequences of that time. How dare you burn your draft card? Serve your country. But dude, honestly, thinking about that, going to Vietnam to die, let's call it like it was. Like, dude, I probably would have done the same thing and hightailed it to Mexico. Like, I get it. So I don't look at either brother as I look at both of them as like I understand where both of their headspaces were.
Yeah.
The older brother was like, if you're going back, I'm going. You're my
Yeah.
brother. I got you. And the younger brother was like, this ain't my war to fight. This isn't America's war to fight. Like
Yeah.
I get both sides of it now.
And that's such a cool plot twist to set the movie in 69. So it's still like, Vietnam, They're going back to enlist or whatever's going on here. The fact that the older brother had already been there and been in the military, and he was going to go back for his brother. I kind of wish there had been some kind of a sequence or a scene where the older brother had more to do militaristically, if that's a word, trying to escape the family, because we didn't really get to see him do much or prove himself as the soldier he's been talked up this whole movie. I wish there was a sequence where he had something badass to do, have him still get hurt or something, you know what I mean, killed, but like we didn't really see that backstory play out. Like they were sort of planting seeds for it. It didn't happen. It's not a detriment to the runtime, but I kind of wish we had saw something like that. But besides him just saying, "Look, run. I'll take the brunt of the."
Well, I think just the fact, I get what you're saying, but like he had guts, like he had seen death up close already. So I feel like he attacked that move. Like he never got scared. He just sucked it up. He stuck up for his brother. I get what you're saying though, but thank you so much, Chris. Let me give you a little something real quick. Here's one of my favorites.
The best part of eating corn on the cob is when like shit sprays out of it and you hit somebody in the eye with the water. I love it. And now I'm hyped to go watch this movie now.
I love it. Now there is a Blu-ray, Brandon. It's a Canadian Blu-ray that's uncut, which I have. It's available on Amazon, guys. I reviewed this movie on my channel a couple years ago, but definitely go back and watch that if you guys haven't seen it. Brandon, I'm gonna tell you right now. I am going to give the beginning
Say it at the same time.
A 9.5 out of 10.
Oh, really? That's low.
Amazing movie. Well, to me, 10 is perfect.
Yeah, I know you're more strict on your scale than I am. For me, it's a 10. I rated it a masterpiece in my review. I got to keep the same score. I put it up there with the other 10s.
So good, dude. So
maybe that sounds too much, but I really think a 10 is deserved here.
No, I understand. But to me, a 10 is like I have to draw a line a little bit, because for me, when I say a movie is a 10, the category of movies I put in 10 are legitimately life-changing, important movie, like The Shining. Yes. So I got to cut myself off a little bit.
I hear you.
In terms of how much I enjoy this movie, how influential it was to me, the theater experience I had, the rewatch value, how solid it is to me, I think this is I think this is possibly Platinum Dune's best movie that they did. Or to me it is, because I prefer this over 03 every day of the week, twice on Sunday. To me, I think this is the Platinum Dunes movie. This is the best one. I just fucking love it. I think it's the best movie that those people put out. So yeah, that's me. Let me see what the chat's saying, Brandon. You put it at 10. I put it at 9.5. Let's see what the score is. All right. Dude who loves movies. What's up, man? Congratulations, Brandon, on overthrowing the powers that be. You want to talk about that for a second, Brandon?
Thank you, sir. Yes, we are. Tabata Vision is remonetized. I managed to make an appeal video the other night and explain myself, how I edit, how I make my content, and they remonetized me the next day. So we're back in full effect, and things are moving forward as scheduled with Tabata Vision.
Brandon buried the hatchet with YouTube.
I did. Yeah, we kissed and made up. It was good stuff. Had a private meeting with the heads of YouTube, and here we are.
All right, Brandon, 9, 5, 8, 8, 5, 8, 10, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 9, 6, 8, 8.5, 9, 9. Brandon, it's pretty high. I'm going to say that the median for this is 8.5.
Fucking well-deserved.
8.5 median answer.
I'm lukewarm on Platinum Dunes of their output overall, but I think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films they did are the two best things they did.
Yeah, it's funny, Brandon. I just did a video on Platinum Dunes the other day, and people in the comments were like, God, you know what? Because my whole thing about that video, I was trying to say was this was in a very important part of my life. So it's the older you get, the harder it is to shit on it. And that's just reality. I think it's okay for people to admit that. But when I was looking back, I was like, Platinum Dunes, they were it for a while. I don't know if we realized at the time.
They were it.
At least I didn't, but like they were the Blumhouse.
They were.
And it's funny because even on like for instance on UNITA, right when we started, I think I was even kind of poking fun at Platinum Dunes. But looking back now, Brandon, they didn't pull any punches.
No.
You may not have loved every movie they did, but look at Texas Chainsaw the beginning. There's no punches pulled.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
And maybe society was just cooler too during that time. It's the most polite way I can say that. So you could make aggressive, badass movies.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, Brandon, let me go get another beer. So let's get started. I'll let you actually, Brandon, just talk to the chat for a second because I don't want to miss anything. So I'll be right back. You can talk to the chat. Somebody's saying Friday the 13th is the best Platinum Dunes movie.
So I've seen a few comments saying it's not really a 10, and that's fine. You guys are entitled to think what you want. I think the reason I'm so fluid and comfortable with giving so many movies a 10 when I rate them 1 to 10 is because I know that I have, and not everybody has this, but I have a Crystal Skull tier, which I really consider to be like, if it's beyond a 10, like for example, I just said that Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning is a 10 for me. I would consider something like Jason Lives to be a Crystal Skull. The Exorcist is a Crystal Skull. Dawn of the Dead, stuff like that would be a Crystal Skull for me, beyond a 10, beyond even a numerical value. That's why I'm so comfortable giving something like TCM the beginning of 10, because I really do feel like it's a perfect horror movie at a base level, but you can go beyond the 10. But I think if you don't have a threshold that's beyond a 10, it is hard to rate something a 10 because it's, 10 is it, so to speak. Right, Christian?
I'm sorry.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Where's my where'd I put it? My Friday the 13th bottle opener.
Nice.
From
1973 bottle opener?
No. All right, Brandon. Retro Ryan says, I want to hear more about the remonetization. What was their initial problem? Well, that is the problem itself. They didn't really tell you.
Yeah,
right?
They were saying reused content, and I appealed it 3 months ago. It got rejected, as you guys know, and I had to wait 90 days, which was January 10th this month. I reapplied. It got rejected, and then that night I made an appeal video. Or the next night, I made an appeal video, and the next morning I woke up to good news saying, "Hey, your account's been reinstated." So what I had to do was make a 5-minute video, go through my entire
you were laughing
channel.
your ass off when you got that remonetization. You're probably happy, but also annoyed as fuck.
I was annoyed, because when I got demonetized, and I apologize if I've already told the story, but I had worked up a really decent paycheck from just my Tabatavision channel through AdSense, from all the Castlevania playlist that they were allowing me to share monetization with. Really good paycheck. Right when I got demonetized, they seized monetization and they canceled the money I was getting for that month. So even though I'm remonetized now, I went back and looked, and I'm not going to get that back payment back. They're just going to keep it because I was technically canceled from monetization. So the $267 extra I would have made from that one video, I'm not getting at all. So I feel sort of ripped off, and I'm starting to wonder if it's all because they're trying to be so, if they're trying to keep people from getting paid. Because what if that had been original content, and what if it had been like a 2 million view video that I was expecting a few $1,000s from, or whatever it was, and they decided to pull this crap and then take my money away legally? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I try to. I don't want to sound like, I trust every big corporation, but they make money off of you making original content. So I don't know. I just don't. It's hard to say, dude. It's hard to say. I don't know. I'm just glad it's over.
Yeah. Hopefully it never happens again. I'm going to be more careful just in case.
Please do. That's the biggest thing when people ask me, hey, man, I'm starting to do a YouTube channel. Do you have any advice? My advice is don't use a bunch of fucking videos, because even though you can put voiceovers, it doesn't matter. And, get copyright-free music, or become a goddamn musician like me and just make all your own fucking music to put in the background.
That's right.
Yep.
What I found out too, dude, and shut
That's
me
a
up if I'm
joke,
rambling about
obviously.
this too long. A lot What also counts as reused content, I just found this out from another YouTuber that I was looking at videos at. If you have like a template that you make yourself. So let's say you make a template like my top 10 scariest movies, and you make a template for it, right? And then you basically use the same template and you change the voiceover a little bit and change your options in the video. If the template is too similar to other videos you're making, they're going to consider that reused content. Even if it's your original content, if you make too much content that's too similar to their guidelines, they're going to flag you for it. That's what I found out. So basically, it's fucking impossible to say what exactly you got flagged for. Now I'll shut up about it.
Brennan, I want to catch this before the comments move. Then we're going to move on because we're doing good on time. Hang around with us, guys. Have a seat. We got 135 people in here. They're ready to talk Texas Chainsaw. Brennan, I want to look at the duplex of these two comments. Hard Film says Platinum Dunes was off as a whole, and I can't stand the three producers. Then a few comments down, we have I'll take Platinum Dunes over Blumhouse any day. Brandon, where do you fit? What's up, John Costan? Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Brandon, where do you sit between those two comments? We got one person who does not like Platinum Dunes, and I totally respect that. Then you have another person that says I'll take Platinum Dunes over Blumhouse any day of the week.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of weird. I kind of liked Brad Fuller and Andrew Form. All the interviews I've seen, I don't know them in person. They're producers, so take with that title with a grain of salt. But all the interviews I've seen with them, they always seem really on board and really enthusiastic and supportive of what they're doing with horror movies. So I kind of like them. I think they've done a lot of mistakes.
They're still going too, dude. They're doing.
Yeah.
What's that movie where they can't talk?
Quiet Place. Is that Platinum Dunes or is it a different banner?
It's Platinum Dunes, and
I thought the company closed.
Guess what? There's a new Quiet Place coming out.
That's right, a third one.
It's the first one, right? It's supposed to be. Well, excuse me, it's a prequel.
Right. I think the big problem people have with the three producers is that the third producer was Michael Bay, and a lot of people do not like Michael Bay as a person or a filmmaker.
I don't like him. I don't like him as a person.
I think that's where the stigma comes from. But I kind of like Andrew Foreman and Brad Fuller, from what I've gathered from them over the years.
I feel like they had good intentions.
I feel like they tried, and whether we like them or not, they technically made their studio a lot of fucking money. So technically, they've still been successful.
Well, look at it like this, Brandon. You could argue, and I've talked to Nick about this a lot, but you could argue Halloween kind of came out during a time a little bit before the super craze. But I don't know what the box office was for Texas Chainsaw in the beginning. I don't know what the box office was. But Halloween was Dimension, and it did about 70. Then Platinum Dunes did Nightmare and Friday, and both of those movies outgrossed Halloween.
Yeah,
under the Platinum Dunes umbrella.
So there's something to it.
I think those guys knew. I think that was a well-oiled machine, is what I'm getting at the time. They knew how to promote the movies. All kind. There's a lot to be studied there, is what I'm getting. I'm not saying I have the answers. I just think that's very interesting. And then Lionsgate came out with that. Was it Twisted Pictures? Lionsgate. They did My Bloody Valentine, which that raked in Brandon over $100 million.
Right.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah. But going back to the second comment, what was the second comment?
Bryden, I get what you're saying. I'm not a fan of what I've seen from him in interviews. He comes across very like he's too good to talk to people. And he has these weird outbursts that I've seen. Same with Blum. I'm not a big fan of him. He's very mean in interviews sometimes. He completely trashed one of the directors that made a movie for him in public in interviews.
That's bad taste.
Before the movie even came out, Nick showed it to me. So it was the guy who directed the latest Paranormal Activity movie. And he was telling this interviewer, it was like, "Oh, this series is dead. Did you see the last one that got made? It's terrible." And it all stemmed because the director of that movie made a comment saying, like, "This movie's original. We're not playing it safe and trying to do some kind of weird legacy sequel like other franchises are doing. I wanted to make an original movie." And I think he got upset about that, took it as a slight. And I don't. Michael Bay. And have you ever seen that video of Michael Bay at that Samsung television press conference where
I
he
have.
completely has he melts? He can't talk to people on
Yeah.
stage. His teleprompter didn't work, and he completely bailed.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And he walks off stage.
It was so embarrassing.
so awkward.
You know,
So awkward.
it was just so fucking embarrassing. So that always rubbed me the wrong way.
But I agree with Saturn. I'll take Platinum Dunes era over Blumhouse any day.
I don't know.
will.
I don't have an answer for that. There's things I love about Blumhouse, and especially some original stuff. But the nostalgia for Platinum Dunes is so real for me. Thank you, John Costin, with a $5 super chat. CHH, is it true you lost the part of Ric Flair and the Iron Claw due to a hair issue? Brandon, that was a good movie, man. But the only thing, it's so funny because the biggest complaint people had of this movie, if anybody has seen Iron Claw, was the guy that they got to play Ric Flair was really bad.
I've heard
It was
that.
a really bad. I don't even know if performance is the word. But honestly, John, they should have put a blonde wig on me and let me do it. I would have done a better job than that guy. Great movie, but that part was just like, oh man, it was kind of hard to watch it. Thank you so much, John. Let me give you a little something, my brother. Let me find you a good clip.
It's fucking fantastic.
Brandon, do you taste that thing when you see it in the video? Does it like you get the sensation of what that tastes like?
Kinda, yeah, a little bit.
Oh, no, I'm not even thinking of. This is the clip I was thinking of.
So it's not good. It's really gross. Oh no, I can't.
Do you get the taste of that in your mouth?
A little
when you
bit,
see that?
a little bit. Yeah, I feel like I'm remembering it chunkier than it actually was too, which is really adding to the misery of that memory. But oof.
But yeah, guys, if anybody hasn't seen The Iron Claw, it's an insanely good film. And to be fair, I don't think anybody could be Ric Flair. But that was the biggest complaint I hear is people were saying like, God, the guy that played Ric Flair wasn't that great. But the movie, Brandon, is fucking incredible. I don't know if you're aware of the Von Erich family. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to see it. I think Efron deserves any kind of, what do you call it? What did they get? Oscars.
Yeah.
Golden Globes. He needs something, dude. Efron is an actor. Let me tell you, he's not no High School Musical. He's the real fucking deal.
I do want to see the movie, but all my buddies at work were like, "It's great, but it's really depressing." Because I know the story itself in real life is depressing, but they're like, the movie is really depressing. I'm like,
It's
yeah,
so good. It's so fucking good. All right, let's move on, Brandon. Brandon, top 2 Rambo films.
Rambo from 2007 and Rambo 3.
Good choices, dude.
Yeah. It fluctuates. A lot of times it's Rambo 2 or Rambo, I should say, Rambo First Blood 2. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about the 2007 Rambo that is just fucking supreme.
It's the greatest horror movie ever made.
But Rambo 3 is so damn good too. Like for a long time, Rambo 3
underrated.
was my top movie.
It's underrated. That's the best physically Stallone ever was, probably.
He was a monster in part 3, dude.
Monster in part 3.
Monster.
It was a great movie.
Yeah.
I like where are the missiles located? Up your ass. This was Brandon after he saw Rambo 3.
It's fucking fantastic. So good. So damn good.
Thank you, Johnny. Yeah, and I see Akeem in here. Yeah, Akeem worked on the movie. Akeem said go see it, and I agree. Please go see it, guys. It was incredible. Incredible film. Moving on, Brandon. Here we go. Let's get going. Okay, Brandon, let's go. Next up is Texas Chainsaw 2003. Do you want me to go first, Brandon?
Go ahead. Get it off your chest.
I talked about this in my video, actually. The Platinum Dunes video, which I encourage everybody to go check out that video I did, because I forgot that they did the Hitcher of Platinum Dunes.
Mm-hmm.
My personal tastes, if you're going to ask me to remake a Texas Chainsaw movie, would not be this, but it definitely, Brandon, captures the era when it was made to a T. I respect that. I really do. With that being said, I'm going to get my rating out early, Brandon. Despite the fact that my personal tastes differ from what this movie presents, I think I I'd be lying to myself if I didn't give this movie an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. People love it. I totally get it, and I respect that. And even though I don't love this movie, I don't love the flavor of this movie. It works for people. There's just no denying that, and I respect that. I have to respect that. So I'm gonna give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. And it's that simple. Plus, the 0.5 comes from Jessica Biel, by the way. But that blonde in the beginning of the beginning gives her a run for her money. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I'm gonna go 8.5 out of 10, Brandon. I'm gonna keep it simple.
I fucking love this movie. I think it's a masterpiece. I love everything about it. The score is great. The contemporary soundtrack is great. I guess I should say the music inspired by the film is fantastic. A fantastic little compilation record. The acting is fantastic. I really like the story. It's not just a Xerox of the original film.
Can I tell you what the best part of this movie is? Can I tell you what the best part of this movie is?
What's that?
When a girl blows her head off in the beginning. I mean, I really wasn't expecting that.
Nobody was expecting that.
I think the audience with us tonight will agree. Like, that was a risk that was done. That caught the fans off guard.
The reaction to that in my theater, I still vividly remember that shit was insane.
Probably had audible gasps.
Especially when they pulled back through the hole in her head and they go out of the van and keep pulling back. Incredible. That movie has a visceral quality. You can I don't know, man, sort of like the first movie, the original, I should say. You can feel the heat. You can taste you can just taste the rotten smell of that refrigerator when Kemper opens it up. It's just, it's a gnarly movie.
This movie stinks where the other one is fucking hot. Right. I get what you're saying. I think of when I think of TCM03, I think of a dark green.
Yeah. Yeah, like mold and rotten decay and wet basements. And
did you see this in the theater?
I did several times actually, and because I had followed.
Did you typically see a lot of movies in the theater a lot, or was it?
Yeah.
What I'm saying, repeat watches.
I did, especially if I liked the film. I saw Pirates 3 or 4 times. I think I saw this movie 3 or 4 times in theaters, maybe just 3. I saw Dawn of the Dead 04.
Did you ever see it twice in one day? Did you go and then
no?
Fuck, I want to go back
Never.
again.
I don't think so. I might have seen Freddy vs. Jason twice in theaters because I think I went with my mom to see it after I had seen it with some friends, but that's a big maybe. But on Texas Chainsaw 2003, I had followed production because I was such a big fan of the original and I wanted to know where the franchise was going. They released a promotional image of Bernarski in the costume standing atop the footsteps looking down with sort of a smirk on it. You can see a smirk through the mask. I was like, that looks really cool. The lighting's good. That looks pretty freaky. But I didn't realize how freaky he looked until that first fucking scene where Kemper looks at the TV and then out of nowhere, Leatherface comes from behind him with the hammer, hits him in the back, drags him through to the basement and slams that metal door. The way Bernarski plays that scene, he makes it seem like the door is immensely heavy. And even a juggernaut like him has trouble closing it. I love that shit because it made him seem so strong, so powerful. And the mask and the lighting and the shadows of that scene look so scary.
Right.
And perfectly in line with the original film. I thought he looked a lot like Gunnar Hansen in that one little shot. And I just thought he was a scary son of a bitch that whole movie. I thought he looked kind of goofy when he had the Kemper mask on for that one scene. But I do prefer this movie overall over the 2006 prequel, but they're right up there. And my rating for this one is like the prequel. It's a 10 out of 10.
Brandon, before I get to the super chat and stuff, Justin's saying that it was another guy during the hammer scene. Does that ring a bell? It was a Brett Wagner.
I don't know. It could have been. It could have been.
I guess they had somebody else doing the job, and they
maybe. But that whole scene,
it's a great
whole fucking scene, and Bernarski in general killed it as Leatherface. I think.
We got a $4.99 super chat from Akeem. Thank you, Akeem. Guys, by the way, Akeem is the guy that worked on. He was a producer for Iron Claw. He says, CHH, I'm excited for you guys to see what we're putting together for Stranger Things 5. Well, dude, I'll tell you what. 4 made me a legitimate fan of the show again. because I wasn't super big on 2, Akeem. 3 kind of worked me back into the mix, and 4 I thought was incredible television. So you guys won me back for sure, and I'm super excited to see what y'all do for 5. Although, Akeem, if you have any influence over this, I'd love to get some different bands in the mix music-wise. I'm so burnt out on Metallica. I would have rather have gotten some Anthrax or some Wasp in the mix, Akeem. Maybe a little Dio. Maybe we could work on some Dio. Brandon, you agree if they had Dio in the soundtrack of
Sure.
Stranger Things 5, we'd be cooking with grease, you know? Is it Valentine Kid? Thank you, Akeem. God bless you, brother. Congratulations on all your success, man.
Yeah. Stranger
Thank you
Things
so
4
much.
was the best season. I'll say that.
Oh, I totally agree. Let's get a test reaction.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
Are you dropping crumbs?
All over my chair, dude. All over my chair.
Is this the celebratory?
Dude, it's totally
monetized?
it's just the Christmas tree cake. It totally is, dude. It tastes exactly the same.
Brandon, do you dub the monetized cake?
I do. Cheers. Remonetized 2024. Somebody screenshot that and send it to me. But yeah, this is better than the Christmas tree cake because there's none of those fucking sprinkles that hurt your teeth on this one. It's just
Brandon,
plain
you got
icing.
you ended up having to get the extra large tree, and the
I did.
cake to icing ratio is off.
It was.
What about that? Is the ratio off?
No. It's perfect.
All right, God bless. So chat, did you guys chat? Do me a favor, chat. Give your rating. We got to get the we got to get the median rating for 03 because we're moving on to bigger and better things, in my opinion. Oh, I should have said that, Brandon.
What's that?
We're moving on. We got 9 out of 10. We got a 10 out of 10. 7, 9, 9, 6. What's up, Landfill Joy? 10, 7. Brandon, it's looking high right now. I think we're sitting at about a 9 out of 10 median. Maybe an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Because we got some 7s. We got a couple 8s, 10.
Well deserved.
They're still coming in. They're still coming in. Guys, drop a like on the stream. We got 135 people in here. Please drop a like on the show. Appreciate it. How about Brandon? Are you doing anything tomorrow? Is it a chill Sunday?
It's a chill Sunday. I'm pretty sure.
Dude, it's going to be cold by us tomorrow. Really cold. We actually tonight we have to take little mini heaters. Like, dude. First of all, guys. If you need a good, go to Walmart and get this thing. It's called the Handy Heater. Brandon, this little sucker will burn your ass. And it's LED, so this changes colors, and there's a color button and a power button. I love this thing. I love it. I was using it earlier. Look.
Oh, nice.
See, it changes
Wow.
colors.
Yeah.
Brandon, this thing will burn your ass. It gets hot. It gets really hot. Works good. All right, Brandon. So 8s, 10s, 8s, 6s. All right, Brandon. I'm going to say that the median for Texas Chainsaw 03 is a 9. I think that's fair.
That's good.
I think that's fair.
That's good.
Moving on, Brandon. We're doing good on time.
Mm-hmm.
At an hour and 38. Brandon, coming up next. This is going to be the most interesting one, in my opinion, Brandon. Coming up next, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the next generation, 1994/95-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Texas local production. Original people coming back to work on this. Who was the big one? Kim
Henkel.
Kim Henkel. Star-studded cast, but obviously it was before they were very, very popular. Rumor has it that McConaughey and Zellweger's managers tried to bury this film, make it non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
No theatrical release, if any. There might have been a few screenings, Brandon. It got dumped on VHS, re-edited, by the way. Known overseas as The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Brandon, did you know that last year, Orbit DVD found a box somewhere full of the Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre VHSs, Canadian VHSs that were found.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And people are saying that was the original cut on VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that?
Love to have one.
Brandon, I'm going to tell you what I like about this film. I'm not going to sensationalize. I'm going to be dead ass. I think McConaughey is incredible in this. I think he's zany, but he's dangerous. I think he's really dangerous in the way that not Leatherface needs to be dangerous, but somebody else. The way the hitchhiker was dangerous, they set him up in that van. McConaughey has a scene where he takes the shotgun from the girl, shoves it in his mouth. His face is beet red. Veins are coming out, begging her to shoot him. Begging her to shoot him. This movie is, Brandon, this movie is the personification of complete drug overdose. It's just crazy. But it's also zany, a little cartoony. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There's a weird feeling with the Next Generation. Brandon, I was watching the special features.
Yeah.
This is the one where people are calling Leatherface a crossdresser in this one, right?
Right.
Well, interestingly enough, not that it matters, but I just thought it was interesting. They interviewed the gentleman who played Leatherface.
Yeah, Robert Jacks.
And he's gay.
Yep.
Yeah, he was gay. So that's kind of cool too. And I like him. The guy is very likable.
He is. He died way too young.
Brandon, I like this movie. I also, I see you got let me get this out of the way. I don't want you to have that on for nothing. I love that mask, dude. It's creepy. It looks like a Slipknot mask. That's badass. Where'd you get that? Did you make it?
No, I got this from High Def Effects on eBay years ago for my Sawyer fan film. And we used it in the film. And this is one of 2 masks I bought. And I kept this one.
Very cool. Brandon, what about the scene? Talk to me about the scene where the suit and tie shows up.
Right.
And he unbuttons his shirt. And you see this weird, almost Hellraiser-esque design on his stomach. Like, what was that all about?
By that point in the movie, I had already checked out. So I was just like, okay, what the fuck is going on now? Even as like a 10 or 11-year-old, the first time I rented this movie from Blockbuster.
That would have traumatized me as 10 or 11.
I was just checked out. It's weird because like I said before, the 2022 film grew on me every time I watched it. This movie has never grown on me at all. I still have the same feelings about it that I did back then. Even Matthew McConaughey, who I like as an actor, he annoys me in the film. I don't know why.
Really?
The cast annoys me. I don't like the setting of the house.
See, but see, Brandon, the house in this one, it's so disgusting.
It is disgusting, but it just
that goes a long way for me. Like, I physically couldn't muster the idea of being inside of it.
Yeah.
That goes a long way for me.
I hear you. I don't know, man. I hated Leatherface. I hated the performance and the masks. The Illuminati angle was terrible. The only thing I liked was the funny part where McConaughey gets hit by the plane and Leatherface is dancing out in the field like a psychopath. That's about it. I just I don't know.
This one's not for you.
It's not for me. I can watch it. It's not unwatchable, but it really gets on my nerves. The amount of screaming in this movie, the incessant screaming,
right?
From both McConaughey and Leatherface drives me up the wall.
Did you hear the story of McConaughey was just talking to Kim Hinkle about it, and like he was asking if he knew anybody that would audition for the part, and McConaughey was like, "Yeah, I think I know a guy that might be able to do it," and he was driving to Hollywood. He was legitimately said he was on his way to Hollywood, and he was like, he talked about this on George Strombopoulos, whatever the guy, Strombo. He used to do big time interview in Canada. And he said he was like, fuck it, let me just go audition it before I leave. Because they must have filmed this movie, Brandon, years before it came out.
Yeah.
You know? I can't help but love this movie, Brandon. It's like watching an hour and a half Vine. Remember Vine?
Mm-hmm.
Just it's ridiculous. People make these funny ass 5-10 second videos. To me, it's like it's like a Vine movie, just pure insanity. I can't help but love it. I've always loved it. I love McConaughey. I love him in this movie. This is just one of those movies that I get it. I'll probably always be. It's not a movie I would ever. I don't defend it. I really don't. But I just can't help but fucking love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this movie. I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. And that's most of that 6 out of 10 is coming just from sheer entertainment value. I like the Illuminati angle. So what the story was, they kept the family out there to
Scare people.
Seize victims.
Right. Because they want to show people fear or something.
That's another thing. Like it doesn't totally make sense. I really enjoy the insanity of this one. I almost miss this time. I wish there could be sequels made. And you could argue that Halloween Ends is that movie for today, but where they make these movies, and I know you're not a fan of that either, but these movies where they just make wild fucking movies. They just do stuff completely off the beaten path. There's something to be said about that I always kind of enjoy. I got one person on my corner, Saturn Video says I'll always stand on Christian's corner on this one, 8 out of 10. But Brandon, I'm seeing 0, 1. If you do 0.5, I'll round it up. 0, 2, 8, 6, 9, 6, 0. So Brandon, I think right now between the highs and the lows, we're at about a 4 out of 10 right now.
Wow.
What
are you going to give it,
3, 0. I give it a 6.
A 6?
It's too entertaining for me to not to want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm going to give
5, 4. Go ahead, Brandon.
I'm going to give it a, let's see. I'm trying to look at my old review from 2 years ago so I can really see what I rated it then. I gave it a 6 out of 10 back in 2022, which says passably average. I feel like I would give it lower today, but I guess 6 out of 10 is fair because 6.5 to me is worth the watch. 6 out of 10 is sort of beneath that, but it's not horrible. I just don't like it. So I'm thinking, I guess 6 out of 10 is fair. So yeah, I'll do 6 out of 10.
I'm going to give the median on this 4 because some people are giving negatives, Brandon. They're giving negative reviews. I'm going to give the average on this one about a 4. So this is the lowest rated one so far.
Wow.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Next up, we're moving on. Brandon, do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's Jeff Burr time.
All right.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. Brandon, we would agree that the preview trailer for this is an 11. It's a Crystal Skull trailer.
Oh, fantastic. It's fantastic.
Do you remember the first time you saw that trailer?
Yeah, it was well after the DVD release came out. I never saw the trailer until the DVD.
Charcoal.
Yeah. God damn it, Charcoal. That's a t-shirt right there.
The DVD Charcoal Extravaganza show.
There it is. That's the June 2025 show right there.
Talk to me, Brandon. Talk to me about
the
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
I unapologetically love this movie. I know it's for some reason this movie is way more divisive with the Texas Chainsaw fan base than I thought.
Why?
I don't know why.
I think it's the perfect blend tonally between I think it splits the difference between parts 1 and 2. When it's scary, but when it's funny, it's funny.
I agree. I think it's because it's the first one in the series, and it was only the third movie, but it's the first one in the series to really have that big studio polish.
Yeah, because two definitely it's a canon film, which
Yeah, it's a gritty ass movie, which I love. But
that was still the Wild West.
yeah, and this movie, like, you can tell it's definitely California. Like, you could say it's Northwest Texas all you want to, but it looks like fucking California.
But it feels desolate.
It does feel desolate, but I don't necessarily think it feels Texas. I guess. I think maybe that's a lot of people's problem.
Well, you could
But-
argue that it feels like Midland or Odessa, which I've been to for work. And Brandon, that's all it is hills and valleys
Sure.
and sand.
Or
dirt,
but I really,
rather not sand.
I really appreciate that it's sort of a pseudo remake of the first movie. Like, there's a lot of plot beats, like the body pits, the bodies being dug up. You have the guy taking photos at the gas station. There's sort of a lot of plot beats that are similar to the first movie, but it's so different, and like, it does a good job of being different from the first two. You have Carolyn Williams in there as sort of an older veteran Stretch for one small sequence. You have Leatherface wearing the leg brace, which I'm assuming is from the first movie. So there's a lineage there, but I like the new family. I like the cinematography. The original score is really good. The acting is really fucking good. I like every actor in this movie is good. Viggo Mortensen's good as Tex. I really like God damn, what's his name? He's slipping my mind all of a sudden. The guy from Dawn of the Dead.
Ken Foree.
Ken Foree does a perfect job, as he always does. The final girl, I think her name was Kate Hodge.
What about Brandon? What about Billy Butler? I mean, Billy Butler, who played
He did good in the film.
Brandon, you know how much he's involved in horror. He's a horror guy. He was in New Blood. He was in Night of the Living Dead in 1990. Ghoulies 2. He writes movies. Brandon, he wrote a script that was at one point going to be a gigantic budget movie that ended up turning into Return of the Living Dead Necropolis. And anybody that watches Necropolis can see the potential in the story of that movie, budget-wise and on a grand scale. And I read all about it in the Return of the Living Dead book. But I love Billy Butler. He's a great horror movie actor. He's great in this movie. I love him. My favorite part about TCM3, I'm trying to think of the scene. It's in the beginning, Brandon, when it's nighttime and they're like, what the hell's going on? And that cop pulls up to the car. This creeped me out the first time I watched this movie. He goes, like, what's going on here? The cop goes, don't worry about it. Don't stop for nobody or nothing. Go. Like, I was like, holy shit. And then when you see that body and what happened? They were wearing suits because something about that body decomposing gave off some kind of...
The blood was toxic.
Yeah, dude, I don't know if that makes any sense or if that's legitimate. Maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know the science, but it scared the shit out of me. And you see this body it's just freaky. That's what I'm saying. I think 3 can split the difference fairly well. When it's scary and it wants to be serious, dude, it's intense. But then when it's funny and you get to the gas station and you got the guy with the snapping the pictures, it's a good picture. It's funny. Like, I think scary and humor are always going to be in bed together. I like 3, even though it's a disaster on it was a disaster behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Burr was like begging to get his name taken off the movie, which I love Jeff Burr. I think everybody loves Jeff Burr.
There's a very underrated serious quality about especially the beginning of that film with the body pits and the police officer guy you're talking about. It's so serious and there's no laughs about it. And like, it's the authorities are well aware that this is a problem now and they don't know how the fuck to deal with it. Like, they're saying don't stop or anything or anybody. Like, it's a very mean-spirited, serious undertone.
And that was Carolyn
permeates
Williams.
The film. Yeah, and even she's not a happy Stretch. She looks very like, oh no, it's happening again. I think there's a very underrated serious quality about the film where, like, holy shit's really going down now. How is this still happening all these years later? I think the movie could have explored that better, but it really is. It's a really there's a big sense of desolation and like you're really cut off from society. Like they do a good, like when they get ran off the road, it really feels like they're far, far, far from any other town when they find the house in the woods and stuff. And it turns out to be the extended family of the Sawyers and stuff. And it's just, it's a fantastic movie, very underrated.
Mhm.
I like both cuts, the DVD cut we got and the original cut that we saw on VHS and stuff.
Yeah.
I
Well,
couldn't tell you the differences now, but I liked both.
There's just like, for instance, I think there's a scene where the boy, I don't know, is it the boyfriend or was it her brother?
It's her boyfriend.
The boyfriend in the beginning, like I think he's hanging upside down in the house and they smash his face.
Yeah.
And like that's extended. If you get the Warner Archive Blu-ray, it's got the unrated version.
Yeah. I think you see Vigo burned. He shows up burned again, which
Yeah.
is in the original VHS cut. But it's good. I think
Memory serves though, Brandon. I don't even think that's really the truly unrated cut that we got either.
I don't think so. It's sort of like the City of Angels extended director's cut. It's not
But
really.
there's still more. There's still more
there's,
to it.
There's definitely more. R.I.P. to Jeff Burr too. We're never going to see that shit now.
Since dude, he's such good. He made fun. He understood who he was making movies for. I feel like.
Yeah.
Puppet Master 4 and 5. I think maybe his best work personally. Those movies are so good. But you look at what he did. I mean, didn't he do Witchboard 2, or am I mistaken? I know he did.
You.
I know he did Pumpkinhead 2, which is super fun. Leatherface.
Stepfather 2.
Stepfather 2. That's a great.
Did he do the first one
too,
too, or no? Of
Stepfather. I don't think
Stepfather.
so. No, I feel like Jeff Burr is that guy. Like, who do we get to do the goods? We need a sequel. We needed to be entertained. Who do we get? I feel like Jeff Burr was the guy.
He didn't do The Dentist 2, did he?
Let me look him up.
I still haven't watched those on that Blu-ray.
Oh, dude, The Dentist 2 is fucking better than the first one. Dentist 2 has a scene with Dentist 2, Jeff Burr. Let's see. Dentist 2 is better than the first one. Just saying. He did so his most notable movies are Leatherface, Pumpkinhead 2, Puppet Master 5, Stepfather 2, Puppet Master 4, From a Whisper to a Scream, which is an anthology movie I've been meaning to see. Night of the Scarecrow.
Yep.
Let's see if there's anything else. He's done a lot of stuff.
Justin Smith says he did Witch House 2, not Witchboard 2. That's
what I'm thinking of. Thank you. Is it a soft reboot or a sequel? It's a soft reboot. To me, there has never been a part 3. Everything's been a sequel from part 1. That's the way I see it.
I mean, it's part 3 has lineage to 2 because of the Solace family thing, but I feel like that's more symbolic than direct because like Leatherface, like what is it? Who just brought this up? Fight the Good Fight brought this up. Leatherface got a chainsaw through his stomach. His guts were hanging out and he got blown up by a grenade. It can't be the same exact lineage, so to speak. Like they said at the beginning of 3, it's an alternate personality of W.E. Sawyer, so it could not even be a real account.
Some people get upset about like, hey, when are we ever going to get an actual part 3? And I say, why break tradition? Just keep making part 2. Like they've done it for so long.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, Brandon. So guys, drop your rating for Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Brandon, did you rate it?
I did. When I rated it 2 years ago, it hasn't changed. It's an 8 out of 10, which is a scary good time.
Yeah, I'd go 7. I'd go a 7 out of 10. Solid movie, better than 4. I may enjoy 4 as much, but if I was going to show people one of them, Brandon, I'd go to 3. I'd go to 3.
Do you like R.A. Is it R.H. Milhoff? R.H. Milhoff?
The guy who played Leatherface?
Do you like his performance as Leatherface?
I like the look more than the performance.
Mm-hmm.
I really like because the look is very hair metal, right? He's got straighter hair. It's very hair metal.
Lots of hair metal. Yeah.
And I like Laz Rocket, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really good. I love that time period too. So it's a good movie. Vigo's great. I love the gas station. Yeah. It's funny. I never have a great memory of the ending of this movie, though. As much as I watch, I always feel like the beginning's the best part of it.
It's because the ending seems a bit too easy, I think.
Yeah.
You can tell
Yeah.
that, that we have to have Ken Foree survive. Like it just seems like, come on, like Leatherface survives. Like it just seems too, it's too cliffhangery. It's too
It is.
clickbaity.
It's not
Sequel
bad,
bait.
but all right, Brandon. So you gave it an 8 out of 10. I gave it a
8.
7. Here's the ratings. The ratings are in 7, 4, 6, 8, 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 7, 7, 9, 6, 7, 4, 9, 8, 7,
A lot of
6,
sevens.
7. Yeah.
A lot of sevens.
9. Brandon, I think the average is going to be 7.5.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think that's the average.
That's fair.
So, what's our highest rated one so far? It's been the remake.
I think so. Yep.
Remake came in with a rating of about 9, and I think the beginning came about 8ish. Although shout out to all the people that are coming. Anyway, Brandon, we're at 2 hours. We can keep it rolling. Next up, Toby Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. This is the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie I ever watched.
Wow. That's a hell of a starting point.
Brandon, do you prefer this poster or do you prefer Leatherface sawing through the door?
This one for sure.
I do too. I
love this Breakfast Club thing, dude.
I didn't used to, but I just want to show people something too. If you look in I tried to decorate, but I was like, I can't angle my camera too much. But look at the posters I got above the TV for this video. Maybe I can. I'll keep my screen like this. But anyway, Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, Brandon. I want you to start us off on this because I feel, have more experience with this movie than me.
Okay, yeah, there's just if there was
Is this the best sequel ever done?
It is. It's the best sequel. It's the only sequel that feels like a true organic sequel to the first movie. And there's a lot of people that would argue that, there's a really big tonal shift. There's too much comedy. There's too much zaniness. It's too cartoony. And I would agree with you on all those points. All those points are valid. But for some reason, the connective tissue between this movie and the original movie, it feels like it takes place in the same world, in the same continuity, in the same lineage of events, mostly due to Jim Sedow's presence and the performance of Leatherface. Leatherface himself is way more rebellious teenager dealing with, sexual hormones in this movie than it was in the first, but it still somehow feels like the same Leatherface we saw in 74, regardless of two different actors playing the role. To me, I could be wrong, but to me, it feels like the most organically connected sequel to the first movie than any other thing in the whole franchise. The soundtrack, the contemporary soundtrack kicks fucking ass. It's full of punk rock music, country music, all kinds of good stuff.
Boingo, boingo.
Great soundtrack. My favorite song is still "Strange Things Happen." Love that song. I like the original score is creepy and has such a moody vibe to it. I love it. The underground lair is the perfect location for a horror movie. The roots and the red lighting and like just the pipes and the smoke and the fog machine and such a fantastic set piece, super underrated. I think Stretch is thank you, Matthew Mills. Appreciate that. I think Stretch is the best final girl of the whole franchise, better than Sally, better than Kate Hodges' character in part 3. Fantastic character. Dennis Hopper is outrageous in the best way in part 2. He's fantastic. That one fucking Lord of the Harvest line, I die laughing at it. It's so good. He is so good in the role. And the fact that he's so funny and wild and out there is incidental because he's playing it straight. Lefty's not having a good time. He's seeking vengeance in the name of the Lord for his family murdered by these people. But he's so wacky and wild that it comes off as completely nuts to everybody else. But it's so sincere and so good. It's just so damn good. Bill Moseley as Chop Top. Perfection. Jim Sedow as the cook. Not as creepy as he was in the first movie. He had a really sort of off-kiltered vibe to him in the first movie. But we see more of him in this movie. We get to know him better. better performance, great stuff.
They're trying to acclimate into society.
Yes, dude, it's from the
They are.
technical aspects.
He's trying to acclimate into
The
society.
chili cook-off, he's known to the town. Like, dude,
I feel like he knew his resources were up
Mhm.
after the first movie, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, "We got to do something. We have to travel."
Yep. I don't know about you, Christian, but I can't say enough good things about part 2. Like, I could talk about it for 4 hours and still be rambling with points of interest about the film. It is just so good
Is
on
it the
every
great
level.
I'm trying to think, what is the greatest horror sequel of all time? It's hard to say, right? There's so many. That's in my initial gut answer because of how scary I think the movie is, was probably Freddy's Revenge. I'll probably always think that. But to say that Texas Chainsaw 2 doesn't come right to the mind, to me, it's like these movies are such a perfect yin and yang. It's like a reversible sweater. Like, they're different, but they're of the same cloth.
Yes.
And that's because of Toby. You can't replicate anything. You can't replicate a movie without. It's a shame, Brandon, that he never did another one years later. This would have been one of those instances where I would have been like, let him remake his own movie.
If he had not passed away, you know he'd be doing a legacy sequel right now. He would definitely be doing a legacy sequel. If he hadn't passed away, what, 10 years ago now? He died in 2014, right?
It's
been a while, but he would definitely be doing the challenge. But I don't know, man. Part 2 is and I feel like
Psycho 2 is another good one. People are bringing up Psycho 2.
Psycho 2.
Yeah.
I still feel like the movie has a really scary undertone to it. Besides the comical zaniness and stuff about the film, it's really unnerving in a really like abstract Looney Tunes way.
Dude, when I was a kid, when I was a kid, when they go to the radio station with Stretch, oh dude, it freaked me out.
Yeah.
You know, it was so tense before Leatherface showed up, where it was just Bill Moseley just doing his thing.
Yeah.
But I think the intro of this movie is the scene of the truck going backwards on the bridge is fucking crazy.
Incredible.
I do want to talk about this, Brennan. Fans have talked about this for years. It's public knowledge that the original version of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 shows that Stretch was in fact the daughter of Lefty. Is that just putting pieces together that don't need to be put together, or
I think I like that idea, but I think in the context of the story presented in part 2, it would be too much of a coincidental. It would be too much of a coincidence. Now, if they wrapped in a plot thread of like fate bringing these people together for whatever reason, like maybe Lefty was endowed with some kind of holy mission or whatever the hell. If you wanted to wrap in some kind of plot point like that, sure. But since it was such a straightforward movie that took place technically in reality, I think it was a bit too much, and I think removing it was the right move.
I agree. I think it's too much.
Too much. But I think, yeah, Lefty and Stretch are the two best characters of the whole damn franchise as far as good guys go. You know what I mean?
You know, again, I think the majority of Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, Brandon, the first act has some of the best stuff. And I almost would still have that argument for part 2 because not just the highway bridge scene, but the scene where Lefty shows up and he's talking to that one guy who's trying to convince him this was nothing more than an accident.
Yeah. Just
that builds so much tension on that bridge. You hear the traffic going by. What was this, Dallas? So they had migrated. The family had migrated. They were trying to. That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this is where I felt you could have put a little bit more connective tissue to one, explaining somehow their resources were up. Their town was completely desolate. They had to start moving around to get food, victims, and then the whole cook-off thing. But I guess that's implied because that's the only thing I can think of why they would do it. Did Larroquette do the voiceover in the beginning of this one?
No, but I really liked the guy's voice who did do the voice. He sounded really guttural and dreadful.
Same as 3. It was a different guy that did 3. Guy.
Different guy.
But it was good. It was like because he had
was good.
he had an urgency. He was like, but if in fact this Leatherface character did
Yes.
exist, then he would still be at large.
The guy in part 3 sounds like a true crime narrator. Like he was
Yeah.
narrating a factual event.
It was good. I liked it.
I loved it.
Who did
But
it?
part
Too?
2.
Do you remember offhand?
I don't know. Let me see if I can look that up.
You
But
know what's
his-
great
I-
about part 2 as well? The music in the beginning, that wah, wah, that music was just like shit
With the red
is
letters?
About, the
Oh, yeah.
shit is about to go down. You know, it
Totally.
lets you know that like, you know, shit's about to hit the fan. Yeah, this was my favorite. I mean, I love Life Force and I love Mars. Was it Mars Attacks? No, that was it was Invaders from Mars
Mhm.
that he did. Those 3 Canon pictures, but TCM2, man, so goddamn good.
So the guy's name who narrated it is a guy named Vern Stearman. He died in 1998. He's known for The Town That Dreaded Sundown and The Legend of Boggy Creek. So he narrated The Town That Dreaded Sundown. That's why that voice sounds similar. That makes total. My mind is on the fucking floor right now.
Really?
That blows my fucking mind.
Wow.
My mind is on the fucking floor.
I love that Lefty is just Franklin's brother. He never needed to be Stretch's father. I agree. I don't think that the father-daughter thing would have. It's not. It's putting pieces together that.
Yeah, because then she would have been related and been like, "What? Why would you not know about this?" Yeah, it would have been.
I think. Yeah. Somebody
That
said
scene-
that. Somebody said he was just coming out of rehab because he had a massive coke problem
Yeah,
during this time.
he did. He did. The scene where he finds Franklin's corpse is a severely creepy scene. Bizarre as hell. It's sad and stuff, but it's a bizarre fucking scene. Everything about this movie is underrated, I think, still to this day. Like, it's loved, but I feel like it's underrated.
Yeah, Total Meltdown says the opening music credits give me the creeps when I first saw it. Yeah, it still
Agreed.
does. It's so good because it's good shit. Yeah, I thought Uncle. Yeah, you guys are right. It is Uncle.
Yeah, Uncle.
Brandon, I'm gonna give part 2 a 9.9 out of 10.
Damn, that's it. God damn it, Christian, you're too strict.
Well, hey, I don't have a above like you do.
Yeah.
9.9 out of 10, man. I think this is about as good as it fucking gets.
It's a crystal skull for me, honestly. It's beyond a 10. And maybe I'm too lenient with my scores. Maybe I am, but it's always been a crystal skull, I think. Absolutely beyond a 10.
Do you think Savini's design was a little too much, or do you think it fit the tone?
I thought the mask in part 2 freaks me the fuck out. I love that fucking design. Amongst everything else he did in that film, I love the mask. I love it.
Too. I do too. I like it.
It doesn't look real. The first movie's mask looks like real old, sort of like taxidermied skin, but this one looks right. It fits the tone of the world perfectly. Perfectly.
Damn it, Brandon! I love these hard ciders.
This Modelo's
Brandon,
pretty damn good and pretty smooth, dude.
The people are talking, Brandon. Let's see. You ready?
Third.
Here we go, Brandon. 10, 9, 9.5, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 5, 5. The fuck?
That was a mistake. He meant to say
Dalton
9.
gave it a 5. Dalton gave it a 5. 8.5, 11, 8, 10, 10, 9.75, 8.
Dude, people love it.
9, 9.5. Brandon, this movie's getting a 9 out of 10.
Yes. Well deserved.
So this is the highest rated. This is second. This is tied with the remake.
Good.
This is tied with the remake.
Good.
For the highest rated scored one.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Brandon, last but not least.
Definitely not least.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 1974. Tell me something you haven't talked about before with this movie, because it's hard, right? Because like I don't want to repeat myself a bunch about this movie, but Brandon, this fucking movie, dude. You know what makes it so great? I'm gonna tell you what makes it so great. It's not even the movie; it's what everybody was saying about it before you got to see it.
Yeah,
you can't watch this. You can't watch that movie. It's fucked up. You can't watch it. Can't see this movie. Brandon, imagine you can't create that kind of hysteria ever again. Even though this movie came out in the 70s, Brandon, when I was a kid, I'll never forget seeing the VHS for this in like 99, because it was 97 or 98. I'll tell you that, Brandon, because I was renting Warzone on Nintendo 64. Remember that game?
Mhm.
WWF Warzone? I'm sure you remember it. It was a wrestling game. It was a huge game because Attitude Era for wrestling. And I remember we were looking at the VHS section, and I saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I had heard it before. And I remember looking at my mom grabbed me by the arm and pulled me away. She says, "Don't look at that. That movie's, you can't watch that, Christian. Like, it's a really messed up movie. You cannot see that. I don't want you looking at that. Don't look at the VHS tape. Don't touch it." That was what happened when I was a kid. In the UK, they banned it till the year 2000.
Mm-hmm. Video nasty.
I mean, Brandon, can you you can never replicate that reputation.
You can't, nor would you want to.
I don't care if you have a movie with a guy banging goats for an hour and a half on film. It'll be on Earth Films. Will put it on collector's edition Blu-ray with limited edition slip from Diabolic DVD in 3 weeks. But you can't create the hype and buzz, no pun intended, that this movie had. I mean, when I think of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Brandon, the movie comes to mind, sure, but what really comes to mind is what is when I was a kid. And my family were like, "You cannot see this. You cannot watch this movie. I don't even want you saying it out loud. I don't want you saying those 4 words out loud." This is the greatest horror film that ever existed. You can take Halloween and you can shove it up your fucking ass.
Mm-hmm.
Shove it up your ass sideways, Brandon. Shove it straight up your ass. This is the greatest. This is the greatest horror. I'm having fun because I love Halloween. I got it tattooed on me. But this is the greatest horror film that ever existed. I don't think you can ever recreate a movie that feels this authentic ever again. This is a perfect 10 out of 10.
I agree. It's the greatest horror movie ever made. It's not my personal favorite, but I can see that it's the greatest horror movie ever made. It's the scariest horror movie ever made. Hands down. And I don't know if I've told this story before. I probably have, because I tell the same story every 20 minutes, I feel like, on here. But when I was a kid, I saw this movie way too young. I was probably 4, 5, 6, younger, who knows. But I remember not specifically the first time I saw it, but the first few times I saw it. My mom, for whatever reason, allowed me to watch this movie. And seeing and hearing the opening credits where the guy's talking about it being a real true story and that it's a true movie and stuff like that.
That's
and
my mom
and my mom going along with it. Yeah, it's a true story, because everybody was fooled for years, right? Even back then, when I was growing up, it was still sort of like, did it happen or did it not happen?
Yeah.
Before the internet boom and all that stuff. It was when I was watching it as a young fucking kid, young kid. I remember standing there watching this movie in the dark. And I didn't understand reenactments. For some reason, as a kid, I thought I was actually watching the real events play on screen.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, that's another thing. Like, as a kid too, seeing that voyeuristic camera angles, 16 mil,
real.
16 mil. You know,
yeah,
it's there's a professionalism to 16 mil, but there's also a danger to 16 mil.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. That I can't even talk about why that movie's so good.
The scene where you see the corpse on the corpse on the gravestone, and it zooms in on it. It zooms in or zooms out? I think it zooms out.
It zooms out. Yeah.
Talk about blistering fucking heat.
Mm-hmm. It feels hot. It feels uncomfortable. It feels sweaty. It feels like it stinks.
I love it. I love that fucking movie, dude.
Yeah.
I fucking love that movie. I wish Dalton just said the second sight 4K is amazing. I wish I would have gotten my head out of my fucking ass and just bought it as well. I want it. I got Dark Sky, which Dark Sky did an incredible job. But man, I wish I would have bought that other release too.
Yeah.
I love that movie, Brandon.
It's you can't make it better. no matter what you do. Like it's one of those movies that you could add runtime to or take runtime from and come up with cool ideas, but you can't expand on it. It's one of those movies that you just can't you can't do it better because it's exactly what it needs to be, which I feel like is rare. If that makes any sense at all.
Mhm.
You can't touch that movie.
You
You
can't.
can't. It's
So what is
bizarre.
your score, Brandon? Is this a Ultra
It's a
Skull?
crystal skull. It's a crystal skull. Way above part 2, obviously, but crystal skull nonetheless.
So what is your top 3 before you give the rating? Before I ask audience, do me a favor. Give me your rating right now. We're gonna get the median for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Brandon, what is your top 3 Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies?
1, 2,
In the
remake.
Mine is 1, 2, and the beginning.
Yep. Not too far off because the beginning would be my 4th. The beginning would almost win over 2003, but there's something about 03 that just wins me over. But I will say this real quick, and I'll shut up about it. The 2003 film fucked up by chopping off his arm. That's all I'm going to say. Because they could have made sequel after sequel after sequel, but they chopped off his fucking arm. So,
Brandon, what are the top 5 horror movies of all time?
top 5 horror movies of all time to me would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween, Friday the 13th Part 6, Exorcist.
Halloween in Texas are in mine, Brandon, but The Shining is also in there.
I would either do The Shining or Amityville Horror. Probably The Shining. Maybe Dawn of the Dead. It's hard to say because a lot of
I'd have Night of the Living Dead in my top 5.
A lot of my choices for that would be choices that were not necessarily my favorite, but movies I knew were better than the other. If that makes any sense.
Influential.
So it's hard to say.
I'd have Halloween in my top 5. I love Halloween. I just love poking fun at it. I mean, it's on me, guys. For fuck's sake, give me a break. Halloween TCM. I'd have The Shining up there. Night of Living Dead.
Jaws, maybe.
Jaws for sure.
Yeah,
Jaws for sure.
It's more of an adventure film, but it's still horror.
There's so many great ones people could pick. All right, Brandon, let's see. So you gave it a perfect Crystal Skull.
Crystal Skull.
Here we go, Brandon. 10, 10, 6, 10, 10, 7. Crystal Skull. 10, 10, 9, 11, 10, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10, 10, 11. 11, 9, 10, 10. 9.5. Brandon, it looks like this one is probably going to be the highest rated one. I'll give it a 9.5 for the rating because we had a lot of 10s, but we also had a couple 7s that would bump. I'd say 9.5 was the rating. But we also had Crystal Skull, so maybe it's fair to say that this is a 10. So maybe I'll Brandon, I'll give this one a 10. So this is the highest rated one. Now this is where the audience gets to really have some fun because we have 2 awards. Special awards at the
That's right.
We get to pick and the audience gets to pick. And I'm gonna pull up your answers and we're gonna go through it. Brandon, before we move to that part, have you learned anything about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise that you never thought about, or are you so well versed in it you haven't really changed? Have you changed your mind about anything?
No, I haven't. I feel like we're both probably still the same amount of versed in the franchise, but I think what I learned is I think we're more in line with everybody else's opinion, at least in this chat, than we thought we were. Because
I was an outlier. I was an outlier for Next Gen. You were an outlier for Leatherface.
For Leatherface, yeah, that's about it. Everything else, I think we were pretty in line with the chat. Pretty.
Brandon, this is going to be really interesting.
Yep.
All right, chat. Drop a like on the video if you haven't. This is the most fun part of the night. I'm super excited about this. Drop a like on the show for this. We have 2 awards.
That's right.
And this is going to be fun. Brandon, I want to let you know that tonight, after the show, I'm going to lay in the bed with my wife, and we're going to watch Willow Creek about Bigfoot. Found footage movie about Bigfoot. Very excited about that. Also, Brandon, I got a movie about a killer tire called Rubber.
I've seen it. It's that. Yeah. Have you not seen that before?
No, I haven't seen it. Don't spoil it.
Oh, it's bizarre.
So I'm going to watch Rubber soon.
It's bizarre.
Brandon,
oh, man.
Are you ready for the first award? Chat, are you ready for the first award? The first award, guys, is the Sleeper Sawhead Cheese Hook Surprise for the most underrated Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. The most underrated Texas chain. Now, Brandon, don't spit your answer out yet. I need you to really think about this because I think you have an answer, but I think there's another one that's kind of creeping up behind it. I want you to think about it for a second because there's a few things that go through my mind when you say underrated. It's a one that you either really like that you think a lot of people hate, which I think there could be a different word for that. But in this instance, I'm going to allow underrated to be that word, or a movie that you genuinely think needs to be discussed more. It's lost in the shuffle. Okay. And you kind of weigh that out in your head.
Yes.
With that being said, do you want me to go first, Brandon?
Yes. Yes.
The most underrated one to me is see, I'm having a little bit of trouble with this, Brandon.
God damn it.
I think the most underrated one still, although you could give an argument that it's creeping up and it's getting its fan base. Obviously, tonight showed that it has a fan base, Brandon, but I still feel the beginning deserves to outshine more than it does.
Really?
It needs to be more discussed on a grander scale. We have a very intelligent audience. We have a versed audience here. So it's not necessarily the audience that I'm talking to because they all are very wise. And a lot of people in here gave a lot of praise for this movie. Yet, in public, on the regular, talking to the average person, they don't talk about this one. They remember the remake. And I understand the mathematics behind that and the logistics behind that. Most people saw Halloween 07. They didn't go back to see 09. Not the horror fans, but the regular people. But I still feel that this movie is still incredibly dominant. And if the average person, not the horror fan watching this video, but the average person would say, oh, they did one after this. If they saw this one, they would say, holy shit, this one was good. So this is the underrated one to me on a grand scale, not a horror fan scale.
Right.
Brandon, what say you?
3D. Incredibly underrated. Lost in the shuffle. Lost to the zeitgeist. Needs to be discussed. Needs to be admired for the superior legacy sequel it is over the 2022 film. But again, I will say this. The true sequel is part 2. Not Texas Chainsaw. Not 2022, but part 2. 1986. End scene.
Brandon, it looks like the chat. Let's see. All right, let me see something. Let me get this out the way. Brandon, I'm looking at the chat. It looks like the median answer for the most underrated is actually Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Yep,
that's the most.
Threes.
I see a few for mine. I see a good number for 3D as well. But it looks like I have some love for next gen. The reason I didn't go next gen, Saturn Video picked next gen for the fact, but the reason I didn't pick next gen, Brandon, is because that is such a strong flavor that I don't think getting it to more eyeballs would get it more fans. I really don't. I think you just have to be a weird human being like me in Saturn Video to love it. I really do. I really don't think it's underrated. I really think it's just a cult movie, and it's always going to be a cult movie. That plain and simple. Whereas I feel that the beginning, if the average person went and saw that one, they would look at it as a legitimately good movie. I'm looking at it from that broad spectrum, not so much in the horror community. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Oh yeah.
Because I understand the answer for 3D as well. Like, dude, hey, don't just watch 1 and 2 and then maybe go and watch 3D again. You might have fun with that one. I get that, especially in the horror community. But for me, on a grand scale, I still think the beginning is his best. It has some of the best the entire franchise has to offer. So that's where I'm coming from. So I think we're attacking it slightly differently, but I respect it. So Brandon, the next award. So the audience basically picked, for the most part, the median was Texas Chainsaw 3. I went with the beginning. You went with 3D. Brandon, we have one more award for the night. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
The Revved Up Razzie Buzzkill Award for the most overrated Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. Now, this is going to be, Brandon, this is going to be very interesting.
Yep.
And I don't know where the chat's going with this. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if there's going to be a median answer for this. I really don't. Because here's the thing, Brandon, and for the chat, before you start commenting, I want you to think about this. I don't want you to say the one you like the least is overrated. Because if a movie has millions of fans, well, that's not true. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not necessarily if you don't like it, because you can't say Leatherface 2017 is overrated, right? Because it's not popular. But
Right.
I'm talking about a movie that has a fan base, and you could argue most of these do have a fan base, but you think people are putting more into it than there really is. That's what to me, Brent, do you agree that's the definition of you can't say Nightmare on Elm Street 5 is overrated, because to the average person, they've seen the original.
Right.
Not a horror fan, right? You get what I'm saying? So that's where do you agree that that's the way to tackle this?
I agree.
So if that's the case, to me, the most overrated one is 03. Tackling it that way, I think the most overrated one is 03. I think The Beginning is a better movie.
Right.
But
that's fair.
that should be no surprise. I already said that. And that's a hot take. I understand that. But I think people can respect where I'm coming from. I think that's fair. It's not like I'm saying I think The Next Generation is a better movie, because I'd have to chuckle if I said that out loud.
Right.
If somebody said they enjoyed it more, I get that, but better. I think there is some semblance of universal truth in reviewing movies, Brandon. Everybody perceives stuff differently, can enjoy it, but I think there is some semblances of universal truths, right? Can you agree with that? In some instances, with movies.
Yeah.
So to me, the most overrated is 03. I think The Beginning is a better movie than this. But unfortunately, this movie gets the recognition that I think is not unfair, but just a shame to me. It's a shame that this one is better by the perception than 06. But what do you say? What do you think is the most overrated TCM?
It's growing on me, like I said, but I think 2022 is overrated, or the most overrated, only because when it came out, everybody around me loved it and talked it up and was like, oh man, it's as good as we hoped it was. I love it. I can't wait for the sequel. And again, it's growing on me. I don't hate the film. I don't think people are stupid for liking it or loving the film. I just think, as of now, at least to me, it's the most overrated entry out of the list. So
interesting. All right, Brandon, let's read the chat, because this is gonna, like I said, it's gonna be interesting to see what people are saying. Okay, let's see, Brandon.
And I'll be right back. I'm gonna check on Isabella real fast.
Go ahead. Let's see. I agree with this, Dalton. Dalton says if you give where's it at? Dalton says if you give someone who has never seen horror, if someone has never seen horror and you give them The Next Generation and they'll never watch horror again, I agree with that. TCM 03. Total Meltdown thinks The Beginning is overrated. It's interesting. 03. Maybe I'm not alone. 03. Dave thinks Part 2 is overrated. Justin thinks the original is. 03. Jaden thinks the original is overrated. Part 2. Dalton says Part 2. I know you like it, Christian, but I hate the direction 03 took. Up until that point, there's a lot of dark humor there. So I'm assuming you agree. Then 03 is the most overrated. I'll give him 03 as well. Total Meltdown says The Beginning. 03, the original. 03, the original. Interesting. Wow. I guess 03 is the answer. Wow. I guess, Brandon, I
All right.
Brandon, the chat actually agreed with me. There was a chunk of people that would say the original is overrated, which I respect that.
Yeah.
But Brandon, it looked like most people agreed with me with 03.
Nice.
Some people were saying, I don't know what Brandon's talking about. I didn't know anybody that liked 2022.
Damn. Everybody I knew liked it.
But again, and that's your reality. So I get that. That's
Yeah.
what you saw. I was somebody that had a blast with it. Dude, this was really fun.
Oh, it was a blast. These franchise breakdown episodes are off the chain.
Should we do another one?
Probably.
What do we not? We haven't done Halloween.
Did we not do Halloween? We haven't done Halloween.
Dude, if we did Halloween, if we did a February Halloween, what would we call it? The Cold Brew Pumpkin Spice Halloween show?
The Halloween Heartbreaker show because of Valentine's Day.
Let me ask the chat this. Did you guys enjoy the format of the way it's more of a discussion, and then we have these fun awards at the end? I mean, what do you guys think? Or should we do a Valentine slasher show next month, Brandon?
Oh man. So we've done the same format for Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street was
And
off the
Texas
chain. And Texas.
I really liked keeping the chat involved, and I really liked having the fun awards. I thought those actually played out really well.
We had it streamlined tonight. This was good.
Yeah.
This is the way. I'm down for Halloween. I'm down for Valentine's Day slashers. I'm down for Child's Play. Puppet Master, you name it.
Brandon, we have to do Leprechaun for March. I'm Irish. I'm 50%. my bloodline is like 60%, 70% Irish. I only have a little bit of Italian in me. I'm mostly Irish from both sides of my parents.
Yeah.
So my last name
I'm
is
6%.
Hannah.
Let's do it.
My last name's Hannah. They have Hannah hats. It's one of the most famous Irish hat making companies over there. We have to do Leprechaun. We have to do Leprechaun.
I need to rewatch all the movies. I need to rewatch all of them.
We have to do Leprechaun.
Okay.
We have to do Leprechaun.
Leprechaun is it for March.
Brandon, I need to make a super chat clip of you saying Leprechaun Origins is fucking amazing.
That will never happen.
Dude, you may love it.
There's no way in hell I'm going to love that movie.
You may say, dude, Origins is completely underrated.
Dude, I can't imagine the fucking wasteland the chat's going to be if we ever do a Hellraiser breakdown.
If people like this, we could do it depends on what you want to do, Brandon. We could figure out February. I mean, you can figure that out.
Yes.
But I think doing Leprechaun, because it looks like some of the chat were like, hey, do this for a franchise that's not one of the big four. That's the consensus I'm getting.
Right.
So I think Leprechaun would be super fun.
Super fun.
So maybe we do that. Maybe we hold off on Halloween for now.
Okay.
Maybe we hold off on Halloween for now.
It's too recent. It's too recent.
Thank you, Nightmare Films. Keep up the great work. TMNT stream with pizza.
Down.
That sounds like a great idea.
The problem is that would be such a short stream.
With all these nicknames, everyone that I accumulate like 3 pounds of fat.
Exactly.
That was fun. That was
good stuff.
Brandon, so what's coming up next on your channel now that you're remonetized?
I don't know. I'm actually at the end of because I've had a video come out once a week, every Monday since, I want to say early November. And this is the first week coming up that I have nothing staged or ready to go. So I think I'm going to record some stuff tomorrow and hopefully get some stuff in line as far as like a just a thought or a video essay goes. But I wasn't expecting really to be remonetized. You know, after getting rejected a couple days ago, I was like, oh, it's over. So I haven't really recorded anything for next week yet, but I'm going to. What it is, I don't know. I have a video coming out for Tabata Vision TV for a fact that's going to explore the dichotomy between Star Wars and World War II. That'll be fun. And I have a new Kiss video coming out for Tabata Tunes next week. But Tabata Vision, I got to record something because I'm sort of running dry now.
Yeah. Brandon, you want to do a Valentine's show next month then?
I'm down for any and all. I feel like that would be a pretty short list, though. Don't you think? It's only really. I mean, it's these.
Well, you know, we could talk about it for a few minutes, then we can diverge into insanity.
Insanity. Yeah, whatever works, man. I'm down for any and all things. I'm gonna eat heart boxed chocolate the whole damn stream, though. So
Should we call it the demonetized Heartbreaker Bulletproof Mega Man show?
I love it. We'll play Mega Man live as we stream.
Mega Man.
Rate the series as we play Mega Man X.
Yeah.
So good.
Guys, I want to thank you all for watching the show with us. I had a blast. We had a great show tonight, Brandon. People had a great time. Hopefully we got some people in the mood to watch a Leatherface film now. I know I am.
Me too.
I really am.
I want to go watch the beginning. So
yeah. So guys, thank you for watching. We're at 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like I said, now that the shows are less frequent because everybody's got a lot going on, guys. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having a good time with us. We'll see you back in February at the latest. God bless you. Thank you for being fans of the show. Thank you for watching the show. And thank you for spending your Saturday night with us. And we're going to go out in style. Here we go.
Mongolian beef. It is off the chain.
Oh, I don't
It's
take
crispy.
that.
Dude, it's fantastic. That shit is fantastic.